Warrior Lore. Chapter 1296. Everyone, there's something wrong with the father and daughter. Don't lower yourself to their level. We'll board the ship now. Little Falcon walked out and said weakly to the stunned young men and women. He was afraid that the golden-winged great rocks would be angered by the cruel father and daughter. If that happened, everyone would be in trouble. As soon as he finished speaking, Little Falcon immediately jumped onto the ship. He looked helplessly at Du Xiaofu and Little Xingxing, feeling very sullen. Ghost Chariot and Guqin Demon Shangwan Qixian didn't say anything. They silently jumped onto the ship. Although the Divine Ape King, Little Ying, Phantom Tiger King, and the others had ugly expressions, they had no choice but to board the ship obediently. The young men and women of the golden-winged great rocks were a little surprised. The auras of these monster kings were not ordinary. They didn't know why the commander wanted to bring them back. However, they knew the commander's temper very well. They didn't dare to ask more and silently boarded the ship. Jialo Kai Ling waved her hand, and the ship flapped its wings. Its aura swept through the air and suddenly soared into the sky. Whoosh! The space around the ship was faintly distorted. Finally, it leaped into the sky. The clouds on both sides of the ship flapped its wings twice. Its speed was as fast as lightning as it swept across the sky and left. It's so fast. Du Xiaofu looked at the clouds on both sides of the ship and thought to himself. When Du Xiaofu looked at Jialo Kai Ling again, he saw that she was already sitting cross-legged at the bow of the ship with her eyes closed. Hurry up and heal. Du Xiaofu looked around. He didn't care about the murderous gazes of the Phantom Tiger King, Fire Dragon King, Divine Ape King, and the others. He took out a lot of spiritual herbs from his Chinkuan bag and stuffed them into his mouth. He also took out a lot of spiritual herbs and gave them to Little Xingxing. He signaled Little Xingxing to start healing. When they reached the golden-winged great rocks, although he didn't know what would happen, Du Xiaofu knew that he had to recover to his peak to have a chance to escape. In the territory of the golden-winged great rocks, as long as there was a chance, it was not impossible to escape. After all, Du Xiaofu still had some confidence in the few escape methods he had on him. Sitting cross-legged, Du Xiaofu circulated the cultivation method of the golden-winged great rocks. Then, he was enveloped in a layer of golden energy. A faint golden light accompanied the golden talisman engravings. Du Xiaofu used the golden rock technique to refine the elixir energy in his body for his own use, quickly recovering from his injuries. Du Xiaofu's immortal Xin body also came into play at this moment. Indistinct purple-gold electric arcs that were difficult to detect flowed within his body, causing his injuries to heal rapidly. However, Du Xiaofu's injuries weren't light this time. The most serious injury was the shattering of his meridian spirit. It would take a lot of time for him to fully recover with his current chaotic element martial honorable cultivation. Little Xingxing also sat cross-legged. After consuming many elixirs, his body was also enveloped in a faint, complicated glow. It was dazzling and hazy, and his aura was very powerful. The Zither Demon, Shangwan Qixian, and Gue Che also sat cross-legged on Class A and began to recover from their injuries. The Fantasy Tiger King, Raging Bear King, and Little Ying looked at each other. In the end, they also began to meditate quietly. Why is it the cultivation method of the golden-winged great rocks? Not long after Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged and his body was enveloped by the golden energy halo, the gazes of the dozen or so young men and women standing around the large ship were stunned as they looked at Du Xiaofu. Their eyes revealed doubtful expressions. As disciples of the golden-winged great rocks, they naturally knew very well that the aura radiating from the purple-robed young man was definitely the aura of the true golden-winged great rocks. Even the cultivation method was exactly the same. There was no difference at all. It was exactly the same as the cultivation method they cultivated. Jialo Kai Ling, who was resting with her eyes closed, quietly opened her eyes. A faint golden brilliance surged out from the depths of her eyes. She looked at Du Xiaofu, who was sitting cross-legged. Astonishment surged out from the depths of her eyes. Time slowly passed. The large ship flapped its wings and carried everyone through the sky. Amidst the clouds and mist, no one knew where they would end up. Kyushu was already in a state of turmoil. The evil spirit war affected the entire Kyushu. In Shang Prefecture, the Evil Purifying Alliance was the first to wipe out all the evil spirits. There were also many prefectures that were ambushed by the evil spirits in the final bloody battle. They suffered heavy losses. Blood flowed like rivers and whales were everywhere. By the time the martial domain realm experts from the top forces of those prefectures arrived, those evil spirits had already vanished into thin air. They had mysteriously disappeared without a trace. The demon emperor has already escaped. The great tribulation of heaven and earth is about to begin. What will come, will come. One day, there was such a soft sigh that seemed to come from the depths of the firmament. It made many old figures sitting cross-legged on Kyushu tremble for no reason. The soft sigh made them feel uneasy for no reason. The news that the demon king Du Xiaofu had not fallen and had already appeared in Shang Prefecture had finally spread to the central prefecture. It made the central prefecture, which was relatively quiet because there were not many evil spirits invading it, suddenly boil over. Under the pursuit of the devil religion and the divine light court, the demon king Du Xiaofu was still alive. It was said that he had left behind a lot of illustrious reputation in Shang Prefecture. This made many people in the central prefecture sigh. The demon king Du Xiaofu is not dead. He is still fine in Shang Prefecture. It is said that he has even become the supervisor of the Hahuan school. Do you think that the demon king will come back to seek revenge on the divine light court and the devil religion? Of course he will seek revenge. The demon king Du Xiaofu is a vengeful person. His potential is amazing, and he has a lot of support behind him. The ancient sky sect has not made a move yet because they are waiting for the demon king Du Xiaofu to return. The demon king Du Xiaofu's talent is extremely terrifying. Once he returns to the central prefecture one day, the devil religion and the divine light court will have to face his bloody revenge. Once that demon king returns, I'm afraid the entire central continent will be plunged into a bloodbath. Although the demon king Du Xiaofu had disappeared from the central prefecture for a long time, the news that the demon king Du Xiaofu was not dead still caused a huge commotion in the central prefecture. There were all kinds of discussions, and it even became the topic of many people's leisure time. Many people in the central prefecture knew about the demon king Du Xiaofu's character. He was incomparably ferocious and vengeful. When he escaped to the Shang prefecture under the joint attack of the devil religion and the divine light court, it was no different from letting a tiger return to the mountain. When the demon king returned to the central prefecture one day, not only the divine light court, but also the devil religion would pay a heavy price for their actions in massacring the seven-star hall. Uncle Du is not dead. He is in the Shang prefecture. The president is fine. He is in the Shang prefecture now. He will come back one day. On the ancient sky sect, many disciples were happily discussing. Master is useless. I can't take revenge on the devil religion and the divine light court for you. When you come back one day, even if I have to stake my old bones, I will help you pay for it with your blood and take back everything. On the mountain peak, an old man in a white robe stood quietly. He had the demeanor of an immortal. He had white hair and a white beard, and he carried an ancient sword on his back. At this moment, his eyes flickered with a sharp light, as if a sharp sword was about to shoot out. Desolate country, Stone City. At the back of the mountain of the Du family, a young man stood. He had a strong body, and his robe fluttered slightly. His shoulder-length black robe fluttered, and there was a faint glow of chi flowing on his bronze skin. The desolate country must become stronger. When third brother returns one day, the desolate country will be a sharp force to massacre the divine light court. The young man raised his eyes. His eyes flickered with lightning, and his expression was cold. Beside the young man, a tall woman raised her head slightly. She had a graceful figure, and her long black hair was as smooth as a waterfall. Her hair was tied up loosely, and her beautiful face was filled with lightning and coldness at this moment. Looking at the blood-red setting sun, the woman's red lips parted slightly, and a cold voice spread out. One day, the Du family will massacre the divine light court. At dusk, the setting sun shrouded the earth. He is really lucky. He didn't die, and he even escaped to the Shang prefecture. In the courtyard of the great Luan sect's mountain peak, A tall and slender young man with golden hair and a red robe stood quietly. His eyes were bright, and there was a faint coldness in them that made people not dare to look at him directly. He was the reincarnated saint of the Great Luan sect, Dongli Chihuang. Back then, he lost at the lightning platform and only took second place. Later on, he thought that he could regain his reputation in the Tianhuang mainland, but who knew that he would lose again? Since then, he had been silent. However, Dong Liqi did not collapse. He was the reincarnated saint of the Great Luan sect, and he had the state of mind of his previous life. This setback was not enough to destroy him. During these years of silence, Dongli Chihuang had been working hard to cultivate and strive to regain the strength of his heyday. Heaven did not disappoint those who worked hard. With the support of the Great Luan sect's cultivation resources, Dong Liqi's cultivation had improved at an astonishing speed. That kid is really lucky. However, you have to remember, although the middle prefecture is big, Kyushu is even bigger. We don't know if there are any descendants of that clan left. As long as we can find them, not only the entire middle prefecture, but our Great Luan sect will be able to stand proudly in Kyushu. An old man who looked somewhat similar to Dongli Chihuang looked at Dongli Chihuang with radiance in his eyes. He said, "Kyushu is in chaos now, and I'm afraid a great calamity is coming. This is the best time for our Great Luan sect to rise. Our hope is on you. The great calamity is coming, and Kyushu will be in chaos. I'm looking forward to it." Dongli Chihuang's eyes moved, and his body seemed to be filled with radiance. His faint voice was heard, and people who heard it felt as if a wave of warmth entered their hearts and their minds rippled. He secretly sneered and said, "Du Xiaofu, I was too careless back then. Next time, you won't have the chance to turn things around." "You still want to deal with Du Xiaofu?" The old man looked at Dongli Chihuang, and his eyes were deep in thought. He said, "That kid is from the Divine Light Court and the Devil Religion." Chapter 1297. I now suspect that the benefits that were sealed in the ancient land had fallen into the hands of that brat. Evil spirits were born in the 8 continents of Kyushu, but there were no evil spirits in the central continent. Only that brat had entered the divine thunder cauldron. A cold glint flashed through the eastern mythical Scarlet Phoenix's eyes. Thinking back to the past, she recalled many strange things. After pausing for a moment, Dongli Chihuang murmured, "I've already obtained the dragon chi from the imperial palace of the Stone Dragon Empire. Although I've obtained the divine thunder body refinement from the divine thunder cauldron, it's still not enough. If the benefits that Brad obtained from the divine thunder cauldron ultimately fall into my hands, I'll be able to advance further." The divine thunder cauldron that was sealed in the ancient land was indeed a little strange. The old man's eyes flickered and he nodded slightly. "However, I believe that the Divine Light Court and the Devil Religion will not let that brat off. The Divine Light Court is nothing to worry about. The Divine Light Court is only relying on the Devil Religion. However, I wonder what the Devil Religion's intentions are after appearing." Dongli Chihuang was silent for a moment. Then, he asked the old man, "Is there any news about Xingnan?" Hearing this, the old man hesitated for a moment. Then, with reverence, he said, "We've already found out that Cheng Xingnan should be in the Divine Light Court. She seems to have been in seclusion all this time. She hasn't shown her face in all these years." Xingnan. Dongli Chihuang's eyes flickered. As the reincarnated saint of the Great Luan sect, he had the mentality of his previous life. He could be said to be the pride of the heavens. Not only in the Great Luan sect, but even in the entire central continent, there were countless talented female disciples who were attracted to him. However, Cheng Xingnan had always been lukewarm. Even during their engagement, she was still lukewarm. Every time they met, she would smile like a blooming flower. However, Dongli Chihuang could feel that he had never truly entered her heart. However, he was moved by her. He wanted the dragon chi of the Stone Dragon Empire's imperial palace, and he didn't intend to let the person in question go either. He, Dongli Chihuang, had his eyes on something. He couldn't let it fall into the hands of others, not to mention that it was related to that brat, Du Xiaofu. Could it be that he, the dignified Dongli Chihuang, the reincarnated saint of the Great Luan sect, could not even compare to a brat who was still wet behind the ears? Red Phoenix, the Divine Light Court has an extraordinary relationship with the devil religion. They have already become the target of public criticism. It's best that we stay away from the Divine Light Court. The Great Wheel sect has been planning for a long time. We can't afford to make any mistakes. The old man pondered for a moment. He looked at Dongli Chihuang and reminded him. The Great Wheel sect had been preparing for a long time. They couldn't afford to make any mistakes. I was the one who prepared for the Great Wheel sect. I know what I'm doing. Dongli Chihuang looked at the old man and said. His spirit fluctuated in his eyes, and his aura made the old man's heart tremble. He said, although you are my father, you don't need to say anything when I do things. I understand. The old man's eyes were filled with respect, and he nodded. I heard that Brat has some treasures in his stone city. Dongli Chihuang's lips curved into a faint sneer. He said softly, the desolate country seems to be developing well. I wonder what will happen if that Brat comes back and finds out that the desolate country has disappeared. If we attack the desolate country, the ancient heaven sect will not stand by and do nothing. The profound charm sect might also intervene. The old man was a little worried. He was the leader of the Great Wheel sect, Dongli Changgu. He was aware of the situation in the central continent. We don't have to do it alone. Dongli Chihuang smiled and said, Kyushu is going to be in chaos. Ambitious and ruthless people are born in troubled times. Ruthless and ruthless people are the ones who are unscrupulous. Walala! High up in the sky, the big ship was moving. 2 white clouds overflowed rapidly as if they were soaring in the sea of clouds. On the first class of the ship, little Xingxing had stopped her breathing. She looked at Jialo Kailing affectionately with her innocent and childish face. She said with a childish voice, Aunt Kailing, you are so beautiful. You are as beautiful as my 2 mothers. Little girl, you have a sweet mouth. Jialo Kailing stood quietly and looked at the little girl in front of her. She knew that this little girl was not as innocent as she looked. She was definitely the ferocious little demon king who could change his face at any time. However, looking at the smile on the chubby little face, Jialo Kailing couldn't help but secretly like her. She asked curiously, why do you have 2 mothers? It's not 2. Little Xingxing counted with her little fingers and said seriously to Jialo Kailing, I have 3 mothers. I have not seen my real mother. My 2 godmothers are very beautiful and love me very much. Now, I have you as my aunt. You know how to claim kinship. Jialo Kailing's valiant face revealed a smile. She looked at Du Xiaofu, who was not far away, and said, so, that human is also your godfather? Little Xingxing rolled her eyes and looked at Jialo Kailing. She said, my godfather is not a human. He is from the golden-winged Great Rock clan. It's true. Little Xingxing was not stupid. She knew that her father had fused with the golden wings of the golden-winged Great Rock clan. If he was from the golden-winged Great Rock clan, he would be in big trouble. As a member of the Beast clan, Little Xingxing knew that the golden-winged Great Rock clan would never let a human obtain the golden wings of the golden-winged Great Rock clan. It would be a stain on the golden-winged Great Rock clan. Little girl, do you think I'm stupid? Jialo Kailing rolled her eyes at Little Xingxing. This little girl really did not speak the truth. That guy was clearly a human. It's true. I'm not lying to you. My father is really from the golden-winged Great Rock clan. Little Xingxing insisted that her father was from the golden-winged Great Rock clan and definitely not a human. Golden-winged Great Rock my ass. Little girl, you're lying. That guy is clearly a human. Not far away, the zither devil, Shangguan Xixian, who was sitting cross-legged, opened his eyes. Under his thick eyebrows, his eyes were like flowing spring water. At this moment, he did not look good. His temperament, which was as gentle as the wind, also revealed some helplessness. The zither devil, Shangguan Xixian, knew that all of this was because of that ferocious guy, Du Xiaofu. When he arrived at the golden-winged Great Rock clan, the zither devil, Shangguan Xixian, had already thought of his own outcome. He was afraid that he would either be eaten by the golden-winged Great Rock clan as a snack or become a battle servant in the end. If he had known earlier, he would have compromised with Huang Ling-er. Then, he would not have ended up in such a situation. Jialo Kailing looked at Little Xingxing's serious expression. Then, she looked at Du Xiaofu, who was doing breathing exercises. Her beautiful eyes were filled with a faint golden radiance. At this moment, Jialo Kailing was also very confused. She could tell that the purple-robed guy was definitely a human. However, she could also feel that the aura of the golden-winged Great Rock Clan was clearly on the human's body. Even the cultivation technique that he was using was exactly the same. They were of the same origin. If it was a human, even if he had merged with the golden-winged Great Rock, it was impossible for his aura to be so similar. He could even use the same cultivation technique. This was too strange. Auntie Kailing, when we arrive at the golden-winged Great Rock Clan, you won't make things difficult for my father, right? Little Xingxing raised his head and looked at Jialo Kailing. His bewitching eyes were watery, making one's heart soften. What do you think? Jialo Kailing didn't seem to be affected by little Xingxing's words. She looked directly at the white clouds in the distance. This woman is too difficult to deal with, little Xingxing muttered to himself. He was so angry that he pouted. If it wasn't for the fact that he knew that he couldn't defeat Jialo Kailing of the golden-winged Great Rock Clan, he would have immediately turned hostile. Jialo Kailing glanced at little Xingxing from the corner of her eyes. She was pouting and had an angry expression on her face. She was secretly smiling. She deliberately didn't look at the little girl. Even though she knew that the little girl was pretending to be pitiful, she still couldn't help but feel her heart soften. That guy seems to be a little special. Jialo Kailing's beautiful eyes unintentionally glanced at the purple-robed figure enveloped by the golden energy halo. Curiosity rose in her heart. That purple-robed young man dared to fight against dragons in the beast domain realm. He even had a bunch of monster kings following him. Furthermore, he was the little girl's godfather. This wasn't something that an ordinary person could do. And now, even she found it difficult to distinguish whether that human brat was a human or a golden-winged Great Rock Clan. Walala! On the large ship, golden light fluctuated and the aura was domineering. At this moment, Du Xiaofu, who was sitting cross-legged, slowly recovered his rosy complexion. The speed of recovery stunned many people around him. After a long time, the aura on Du Xiaofu's body began to slowly withdraw. The golden rune light around his body was like countless golden energy snakes that mysteriously drilled into his body and disappeared. Boom! After everything was withdrawn, Du Xiaofu's tightly shut eyes slowly opened. He withdrew the hand seal in his hand, and a golden light shot out from his eyes into the sky. The aura shook the surrounding space, and the big ship suddenly became sluggish and swayed unsteadily. What a powerful aura! This is the aura of our clan. The dozen or so young men and women from the golden-winged Great Rock Clan trembled. They felt that the aura released from the purple-robed young man's body was indeed the aura of their clan. In just an instant, the overbearing, fierce, and vigorous aura around Du Xiaofu's body was gradually restrained until it completely disappeared in the end. Phew! A mouthful of turbid air was spat out from his abdomen. He felt that the originally exhausted profound energy in his spirit gate had recovered quite a bit. The injuries on his body were no longer a problem. Du Xiaofu's expression relaxed a little. However, the profound energy in his body hadn't completely recovered. Chapter 1298. Du Xiaofu's consciousness entered the Heavenly Beast Hall in his divine watchtower. Within the vast space of the Heavenly Beast Hall, the purple flame demonic phoenix's aura continued to rise. After leaving the Heavenly Beast tomb, the restrictions in the space would disappear and everything would return to normal. Du Xiaofu also relaxed. He was willing to follow Jialo Kailing because he was worried that the purple flame demonic phoenix would have to leave the Heavenly Beast tomb as soon as possible. Otherwise, if the purple flame demonic phoenix wanted to break through, it would definitely be affected in the Heavenly Beast tomb. At this moment, Du Xiaofu hoped that the purple flame demonic phoenix could break through again. Even if it didn't break through, as long as the purple flame demonic phoenix could help, they would have a chance to escape. Du Xiaofu knew that although the purple flame demonic phoenix was not easy to deal with, she would at least help for little Xingxing. Come with me. I have something to ask you. As Du Xiaofu was deep in thought, a clear voice entered Du Xiaofu's ears. A tall and beautiful figure directly walked past him and entered a palace behind Class A. It was Jialo Kaling. Du Xiaofu stood up and looked at Jialo Kaling's tall figure. If she was a real human, her figure would be quite good. If she left the Beast region and went to Kyushu, she would be a disaster for Kyushu. Dad, be careful. That woman is very difficult to deal with. She won't listen to reason or force. While Du Xiaofu was lost in his thoughts, little Xingxing came to Du Xiaofu's side and whispered a warning to Du Xiaofu. At the same time, he transmitted his voice to Du Xiaofu. I told that woman that you're from the golden-winged Great Peng clan. Don't let the cat out of the bag. Be careful. Du Xiaofu patted the back of Little Star's head and glanced at the Phantom Tiger King, the Ghost Chariot, the Divine Ape King, the Zither Demon, Shangguan Qixien, and the others who had opened their eyes. Du Xiaofu shook his purple robe and followed Jialo Kaling into the palace behind the ship. The palace wasn't big, but it wasn't small either. It was extremely exquisite and gave off a simple and unadorned aura. In a small hall, Du Xiaofu quietly looked at Jialo Kaling. Her aura was oppressive. Not only was she beautiful, but she was also very elegant. For men, this kind of woman was extremely tempting. Have you seen enough? Jialo Kaling looked at Du Xiaofu. Her red lips parted slightly as she said softly, Tell me, how do you know the cultivation technique of the golden-winged great rocks and can even cultivate it? Du Xiaofu recalled little Xingxing's words. His eyes shifted slightly and he said, I'm a golden-winged great Peng. Brat, the little girl's tricks won't work on me. I'm not stupid. At the same time, a leisurely fragrance assailed his nostrils. Jialo Kailing's tall figure had already appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. She said softly, You'd better tell me the truth. Otherwise, the one who will suffer will be you. Don't test my patience. This woman is really difficult to deal with. Du Xiaofu's expression changed slightly. However, he knew that if he really offended this woman at this time, he would be in for a lot of trouble. A man knows when to yield and when to stand tall. It's better to bear with it for now. People under the eaves have no choice but to lower their heads. Who asked him to be weak? I'm really a golden-winged great Peng. If you don't believe me, you can check it yourself. Du Xiaofu shrugged his shoulders. If he admitted that he was a human and had integrated with the great Peng's golden wings, he was afraid that he would really be in trouble. Anyway, the blood in his body was almost the same as the blood of the golden-winged great Peng. After his resurrection, his bones had been nourished by the blood essence of the golden-winged great Peng in his chest. At this time, Du Xiaofu could only grit his teeth and endure that he was a golden-winged great Peng. Do you really think that I have a good temper? Jialo Kailing was slightly angry. She stretched out her hand, and a claw print directly seized Du Xiaofu's shoulder. A golden light suddenly surged into Du Xiaofu's body. Du Xiaofu's gaze trembled. The golden light flashed, and then quietly disappeared. Anyway, he couldn't beat Jialo Kailing. Du Xiaofu didn't intend to struggle. Otherwise, he would undoubtedly suffer more. As her hand clasped Du Xiaofu's shoulder, a golden light gushed out. Jialo Kailing's beautiful face suddenly changed color. She seemed to have felt something. Her beautiful eyes kept fluctuating, as if she had seen the most incredible thing. You have reached the third level of the body refining technique to refine the divine body. You also have the secret bone of my clan in your body. How is this possible? Jialo Kailing was surprised. She raised her delicate hand, and then a lot of handprints fell on Du Xiaofu's body. She carefully checked, and even the secret place under Du Xiaofu's abdomen was not missed. There is a difference between men and women. Du Xiaofu hurriedly dodged. Who knew that this woman would be so open? His whole body was touched. This was a big loss. Why are you dodging? What haven't I seen before? Jialo Kailing glared at Du Xiaofu. She clasped one of her hands on Du Xiaofu's palm. A golden light, like a blade, streaked across the tip of her delicate finger, and a light golden blood overflowed. Chi. With a flip of her delicate hand, a suction force gushed out from her palm. Jialo Kailing wrapped the light golden blood in Du Xiaofu's palm into a rune on her palm. Damn, what are you trying to do? Du Xiaofu took a few steps back. He then looked at the rune on Jialo Kailing's palm, and his eyes were filled with curiosity. At this moment, the golden rune on Jialo Kailing's delicate palm shone brightly. Voila! Du Xiaofu could see with his own eyes that his blood had turned into a light golden rune. In the end, it faintly condensed into a small phantom of a golden-winged rock. Then, it disappeared. The real rock blood of my golden-winged rock clan. This is impossible. How can it be so strange? Jialo Kailing retracted her hand and looked at Du Xiaofu again. Her light golden eyes seemed to have seen the most incredible thing. During the inspection, Jialo Kailing was able to confirm that the boy was obviously a human, but he had the real rock blood of the Golden-Winged Rock Clan and the mystic bones of the Golden-Winged Rock Clan. More importantly, the human had cultivated the body refining technique to the 3rd level. Even with her current efforts, she had only reached the 2nd level of bone washing and marrow cleansing. In the entire Golden-Winged Rock Clan, there were only a handful of people who could reach the 3rd level of the body refining technique, regardless of their age. As long as one was able to cultivate to the 3rd level of the body refinement technique, one would become the most powerful existence in the clan. As the leader of the Golden-Winged Great Rock Clan and the great commander of the Golden-Winged Great Rock Clan, Jialo Kailing was well aware of how difficult it was for her clan's disciples to cultivate to the 3rd level of the body refining technique. However, once they succeeded, their future achievements could be imagined. Therefore, at this moment, Jialo Kailing couldn't help but be deeply shocked. Du Xiaofu looked at Jialo Kailing. He could guess that the woman was inspecting him just now. Golden light flashed and healed the bloodstain on his palm. He shrugged and said, "How is it? I told you that I'm from the Golden-Winged Rock Clan. Don't think that I'm a fool. Do you really think that I can't see through it? If it were other clans, you might be able to protect them. However, in front of the real Golden-Winged Rock Clan, you can't hide it." Jialo Kailing looked at Du Xiaofu and slowly recovered from her surprise. She glared at Du Xiaofu and said, "Although I don't know why such a thing happened and it's inconceivable, you are undoubtedly a human. Your primordial spirit is a human and not a beast soul. This can't be hidden." Hearing this, Du Xiaofu was stunned. Jialo Kailing was really difficult to deal with. Indeed, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit was not a beast soul. Since Du Xiaofu cultivated the Golden-Winged Rock technique, he had the bones of the Golden-Winged Rock. Even the blood in his body was no different from that of the Golden-Winged Rock Clan. However, in Du Xiaofu's heart, he was a human. He was a member of the human race. Chapter 1299. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly as he looked at Jialo Kailing. He then said, "What does it matter if I'm a real Golden-Winged Rock or not? Over the years, I've sometimes considered myself a member of the Golden-Winged Rock Clan. Although I'm a human, it's because of the Golden-Winged Rock Clan that I've been able to reach where I am today. In my heart, the human race and the Golden-Winged Rock Clan are all the same." Jialo Kailing looked at Du Xiaofu and listened to his words. She had to admit that she was quite touched. A human with the blood of the Golden-Winged Rock, the bones of the Golden-Winged Rock, and the cultivation method of the Golden-Winged Rock. Was he a human or a Golden-Winged Rock? Perhaps, whether he was a human or a member of the Golden-Winged Rock Clan did not matter much to him. Where did the Golden-Winged Rock wings on your body come from? Although the bones of the Golden-Winged Rock have miraculously merged with you, they don't belong to you. You'd better tell me honestly." Jialo Kailing asked. Although she was quite touched, it was of no use to the Golden-Winged Rock Clan. The remains of the Golden-Winged Rock Clan could not be tarnished. If anyone dared to touch them, the Golden-Winged Rock Clan would definitely chase them to the ends of the earth. They would not let them go. If anyone dared to have designs on the descendants of the Golden-Winged Rock Clan and wanted to dig out the treasures for their own use, they would suffer the most intense revenge from the entire Golden-Winged Rock Clan. This matter concerned the dignity of the entire Golden-Winged Rock Clan. Jialo Kailing, like all the other descendants of the Golden-Winged Rock Clan, attached great importance to this matter. She was a member of the Golden-Winged Rock Clan, so she naturally had to protect the clan. I accidentally obtained the bones of the Golden-Winged Rock. About 7 or 8 years ago, I was escaping from my enemies in a mountain range. I accidentally saw a Golden-Winged Rock and an unknown but extremely powerful ferocious beast fighting. In the end, the Golden-Winged Rock and the ferocious beast perished together. However, before that ferocious beast died, for some reason, It placed the secret bone of the golden-winged great rock into my body, causing me to almost lose my life. Later on, I accidentally discovered that I could cultivate the cultivation method of the golden-winged great rock clan. Du Xiaofu did not hide anything from Jialo Kaling. This woman was not ordinary, and he was afraid that he would not be able to hide anything from her. However, Du Xiaofu didn't dare to say that it was the purple flame demonic phoenix that fought with the golden-winged great rock. If Jialo Kaling knew about it, she would probably start a war with the entire golden-winged great rock clan against the purple flamed demonic phoenix clan. Looking at Jialo Kaling, Du Xiaofu continued, I obtained the golden rock wings by accident in a secret place. I comprehended many supreme beast abilities of the golden-winged rock clan, and the golden rock wings automatically recognized me as its master. Jialo Kaling's beautiful golden eyes glowed as she stared at Du Xiaofu. Her eyebrows moved slightly as she listened to Du Xiaofu's words. She felt that this human didn't seem to be talking nonsense. After pondering for a while, Jialo Kaling said softly, Decades ago, a disciple of my clan was greedy for the prosperity of the outside world, so he secretly left the clan. All these years, we haven't found a single one of them. If what you said is true, then the golden-winged great rock that you saw fighting with the ferocious beast should be it. You miraculously merged with the secret bone of the golden-winged great rock clan. Under its effect, your body is the closest to the golden-winged great rock clan. That's why you were able to get the golden rock wings to recognize you as its master. I have seen your golden rock wings. It's very old and has an extraordinary origin. With your current strength, you are still far from being able to unleash its true power. The golden rock wings should also be an ancient artifact. You said that you obtained it in a secret place. At this moment, Jialo Kaling really couldn't find any doubts. She could only say that this situation was too unbelievable. A human being was actually able to practice the cultivation technique of the golden-winged great rock clan. Even his body was incomparably close to the golden-winged great rock clan's level. It was unbelievable. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Anyway, what I said is true. It's up to you to believe it or not. Du Xiaofu spread out his hands. Anyway, he had basically said the truth. Whether what you said is true or not, I will take you back to the clan. At that time, the elders of the clan will make a decision. Jialo Kaling looked at Du Xiaofu with a slightly gentler gaze and said, Fortunately, you didn't try to disrespect the golden-winged great rock clan. As long as what you said is true, the clan will at most dig out your secret bone and pull out the golden rock wings. It's not impossible for them to spare your life. That's too ruthless. You can't blame me for this. Isn't the golden-winged great rock clan too overbearing? Du Xiaofu frowned and dug out the secret bone of the golden-winged great rock from his body. The secret bone had already completely merged with his body. At that time, how could he be spared? He was afraid that he would die without a doubt. There's no reason. If you're not convinced, you can leave in front of me now. Jialo Kailing looked at Du Xiaofu with a faint smile on her face. However, her face was so captivating that it could captivate one's soul. Her voice was crisp and moving. She said word by word, The precondition is that you can leave before me. Otherwise, you will suffer. The weak are prey to the strong. There's no such thing as logic in this world. It's a competition of whose fist is bigger. Only the bigger fist is reasonable. Du Xiaofu's words were stuck in his throat. A wry smile appeared on his lips. He didn't say anything more. The golden-winged great rock clan was originally overbearing. They didn't even care about the dragons and phoenixes. How could they reason with him? Perhaps one day, he could become the most tyrannical expert in the world and have the absolute strength to face the entire golden-winged great rock clan. At that time, the golden-winged great rock clan might reason with him. Sigh. Du Xiaofu sighed softly. If he wanted to have the strength to face the entire golden-winged great rock clan, how far would he have to go? Jialo Kaling slowly sat down on the seat beside him. She waved her slender and elegant hands gently. She looked at Du Xiaofu. A complicated fluctuation flashed through her eyes. After hesitating for a moment, she signaled Du Xiaofu to sit down on the empty seat beside her. She asked, Why did you choose to cultivate the cultivation technique of the golden-winged great rock clan? Du Xiaofu didn't stand on ceremony when he saw her signal. He directly sat down on the seat and said, "Back then, I couldn't cultivate and was just a cripple. I accidentally obtained the secret bone of the golden-winged great rock. I didn't expect that it would allow me to cultivate. It can be considered a coincidence." Hearing this, Jialo Kaling's eyes changed again. She asked, "Back then, you couldn't cultivate?" Du Xiaofu nodded and smiled faintly. "As far as I know, among the humans, those who can't cultivate don't have a good life. Is that why they are hunted down?" Jialo Kaling asked curiously. "It's all right." Du Xiaofu rolled his eyes at Jialo Kaling. However, back then in Shur City, when he thought about it now, it wasn't a big deal. He then smiled and said, "Since I was young, I have a drunkard father. My elder sister and second brother have been very good to me." "You have an elder sister?" Jialo Kaling's red lips slightly opened. At this moment, she seemed to be unconsciously gentle to Du Xiaofu. "My uncle's daughter." Du Xiaofu couldn't help but think of his elder sister, Du Xiaoman, and Shi Cheng's relatives. After being in Shangzhou for so long, Shi Cheng must have already known about his disappearance during the bloody battle in the Seven-Star Hall. Everyone should be very worried about him at this moment. His master and the others in the Ancient Heaven sect should also be worried. Looking at Du Xiaofu's thoughtful expression, Jialo Kaling's lips curled up. She had been looking at Du Xiaofu, and there seemed to be a faint trace of sadness in her eyes. However, it disappeared in a flash, and it was hard to catch. After a moment of silence, Jialo Kaling opened her mouth and said to Du Xiaofu, "You should obediently return to my clan. You didn't attack my golden-winged Great Rock clan. I will explain it to the elders and try to spare your life. How about you let me go now and pretend that you never saw me?" Hearing this, Du Xiaofu immediately stared at Jialo Kaling. It seemed that this woman who seemed difficult to deal with wasn't too difficult. Her temper seemed to have improved a lot. "In your dreams," Jialo Kaling glared at Du Xiaofu, and the corners of her mouth curled up into a perfect arc. She was interested. She smiled at Du Xiaofu and said softly, "However, I can let you escape. However, if you can't escape from my hands, I will directly pull out your secret bone and tear down your great rock golden wings. Then, I will spare your life. How about that? Spare your grandma's bear." Du Xiaofu cursed in his heart. However, he could only mutter in his heart and didn't dare to curse out loud. "Not good. Someone is attacking us." Suddenly, just as Du Xiaofu was muttering in his heart, Jialo Kaling's face suddenly darkened, and the beautiful figure that was sitting upright disappeared. Bang bang. At the same time, a huge sonic boom came from the big ship. Under a huge impact, the big ship shook, and a terrifying energy surged out. Chapter 1300. Rumble. The space around the ship trembled as spatial turbulence erupted. What's going on? Who dares to ambush the golden-winged great rocks? At the same time, the Fantasy Tiger King, Violent Bear King, and Littling Ying's shocked voices immediately reverberated in the surroundings. Bang, bang, bang. At the same time, the ship actually cracked and shattered from the terrifying impact. In the end, it exploded into fragments. Run. The Fantasy Tiger King, Ape King, and Fire Wyrm King all cried out and immediately retreated. Even if they were caught in the blast of energy from the destruction of the ship and the cracks of the ritual artifact, it would still be quite severe. As the ship exploded, talismans surged. Even space seemed to be torn apart as a terrifying aura swept out in all directions. Which scoundrel dares to ambush us golden-winged great rocks? Looks like you're tired of living. Get the hell out here. Over a dozen young men and women from the golden-winged great rocks appeared in the air. They all erupted with golden light, and their auras were extremely domineering. They were like golden suns hovering above the sea of clouds. It was an extremely shocking sight. How arrogant of you juniors. Do you think the golden-winged great rocks are that great? A gloomy roar rang out in the sky like a dragon's roar. Swish. Suddenly, a dark golden streak shot out from the thick sea of clouds. It seemed to have turned into the silhouette of a huge dragon. It swept towards the young men and women from the golden-winged great rocks with terrifying might. Boom. The dark golden streak of light was just too powerful. Under the pressure, no one below the beast domain realm would be able to withstand it. It was a true beast domain realm cultivator attacking. So it's dragons. You bastards dare to ambush us? You're courting death. Jalo Kaling's beautiful figure appeared out of thin air in front of more than a dozen young men and women of the golden-winged Great Rocks clan. Her face was furious, and her tender face was cold. Her delicate hand directly slapped at the dark golden light in front of her. Rumble. In an instant, strands of golden talisman inscriptions swept out from Jalo Kaling's slender palm. They shattered space and brought with them spatial turbulence. They directly dispersed the streak of light. Whoosh! Du Xiaofu appeared in the air and leapt out of the ship that had exploded. He couldn't help but feel heartache as he watched the ship shatter into pieces. An impressive mid-tier ritual artifact had been destroyed just like that. Dad, what do we do? Little Xingxing appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. His small face scanned the surroundings at this moment, and a surprised expression appeared in his eyes. The Ape Divine Ape King, Gui Che, Guqin Demon Shangguanxiu, Little Falcon, Wild Bear King, Phantom Tiger King, and Phantom Tiger King, and so on instinctively, they all on the Jalo. Who dares to sneak attack the golden-winged Great Rocks? However, that aura seems to belong to the dragon race. Du Xiaofu frowned slightly as he sensed the aura just now. He whispered to Little Star, Phantom Tiger King, Ghost Chariot, and the others, be careful later. TSK. Sure enough, Jalo Kaling. She wasn't suppressed in the heavenly beast tomb, but she's only so outside. I was almost fooled. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, the clouds in the sky surged, and the space rippled. A loud laughter resounded through the sea of clouds in all directions. Then, in the rippling space, figures emerged one after another, and a terrifying aura spread out. Dragons. When Du Xiaofu, Little Xingxing, Phantom Tiger King, Gui Che, Guqin Demon, and the Ape Divine Ape King saw the group of people coming out of the space, they were shocked. They were Long Feng, Long Bao, and Long Ba, who had left the heavenly beast tomb in a sorry state. Other than the heavily injured Long Qi, there were no less than 30 experts in the group of dragons. Their bodies were filled with the aura of dragons. Even if they weren't the descendants of pure-blooded dragons, they should be of extremely high bloodline. Why did they come back? Du Xiaofu was surprised. Long Feng and Long Bao actually dared to come back. They even launched a sneak attack and summoned dozens of dragons from God knows where. At this moment, Du Xiaofu naturally didn't know that the dozens of dragons had followed Long Feng to the heavenly beast tomb to support the dragons. However, Long Feng was worried that there would be an unforeseen event in the heavenly beast tomb, so he rushed there alone. After Long Feng and Long Bao were intimidated by Jalo Kaling and left the heavenly beast tomb, they met the dragons who had come to support them on the way. Long Bao and Long Feng felt that something was wrong the more they thought about it. Why did Jalo Kaling let them leave so easily? The dragons and golden-winged Great Rocks were mortal enemies. Once they met, they would fight for no reason. There was no need to say much. In the end, Long Feng and Long Bao both thought that Jalo Kaling of the golden-winged Great Rocks had let them go so easily. There was only one reason. Jalo Kaling didn't have the absolute strength to kill them. The strength that Jalo Kaling had displayed in the heavenly beast tomb was most likely just an act. She couldn't fight too much. Otherwise, she would have exposed herself. That little strange dragon was extraordinary. They had to bring it back to the clan to study it. Du Xiaofu had killed the dragons, so he still had the golden-winged Great Rock's golden wings and other treasures. It was difficult for his physical body to be strong. Hence, Long Feng and Long Bao gritted their teeth and returned. So it's you. It seems that I should have killed you in the heavenly beast tomb. Jalo Kaling looked at Long Feng and Long Bao, who had walked out of the void. Her golden eyes were filled with killing intent. The expression on her beautiful and valiant face immediately turned cold. TSK. Although this domain lord doesn't know what methods you used in the heavenly beast tomb, I can guarantee that you wouldn't be able to do much after using those methods. But now, everything is about to turn around. Since so many of your golden-winged Great Rocks have come out, then all of you can stay. None of you need to return. This is a rare opportunity, My dragon clan will take it all. Long Bao stared at Jialo Kaling with a gloomy expression. Then, his gaze swept across the dozen young men and women of the golden-winged great rocks behind Jialo Kaling. Finally, he fixed his eyes on Du Xiaofu and little Xingxing. He whispered to Long Ba, who was beside him, Eighth Dragon Prince, "How about you deal with that little strange dragon? Just leave that little girl to me." Long Ba nodded with a gloomy expression. Although he wanted to deal with that brat Du Xiaofu, he knew that he wasn't much stronger than Long Qi after seeing Long Qi's miserable defeat. He wasn't a match for Long Qi, so he could only deal with that little strange dragon. Long Bao looked at Du Xiaofu and little Xingxing from afar after Long Ba nodded. He gritted his teeth and said in a gloomy tone, "Long Bao, you deal with that brat Du Xiaofu. You must take him down. Even if you can't take him alive, it's fine even if he's dead." "Yes, Elder Long Bao." As soon as Long Bao finished speaking, a burly man appeared from behind Long Ba. An absolutely vigorous dragon aura rippled from him. He was at the peak of the Nirvana Beast Sovereign level. If he wasn't at the half-region level, he was probably at the edge of the Beast region level. Long Bao turned around and looked at Long Feng beside him. A cold glint flashed across his eyes, followed by a blazing gaze. He said, "Let's work together to deal with Jialo Kailing. It's been a long time since I've seen the flesh of the golden-winged great rocks." The flesh of the golden-winged great rocks is indeed hard to come by. The corner of Long Feng's eyes twitched with greed. He waved his hand and roared, "Attack! Don't let a single one of them go. Kill! Ao, ao!" As Long Feng's hand fell, suddenly, there were shouts and faint dragon roars in the surroundings. Figures pounced forward one after another. Kill! Long Ba's face was gloomy. His blue robe fluttered, and his long blue hair danced behind him. His body seemed to be shrouded in a layer of dense mist. Long Ao, a peak Nirvana Beast Sovereign expert, also pounced forward. "Everyone, be careful. Fight with all your strength. Little girl, be careful." When the figures in front of her rushed forward, Jialo Kailing's beautiful face was completely gloomy. She looked coldly at the dragons that were pouncing towards her. Those who came did not come with good intentions. Jialo Kailing, hee. Suddenly, the space in front of her distorted. Long Bao and Long Feng took the lead and appeared in front of Jialo Kailing. Golden light gushed out from Jialo Kailing's eyes. She couldn't help but be serious when facing two martial region realm dragons. When they were in the heavenly beast tomb, Jialo Kailing did not kill Long Feng and Long Bao because she was soft-hearted. It was just as Long Feng and Long Bao had thought. Jialo Kailing was not suppressed by the restriction in the heavenly beast tomb because she had a special method. However, she could not maintain it for long. The more she attacked, the shorter the time she could maintain it. Therefore, Jialo Kailing had no choice but to let Long Feng and Long Bao go. If they were to fight in the heavenly beast tomb, once the method disappeared, she would not be able to gain any advantage. "You want to deal with me with just the two of you? I'm afraid it's not enough." However, at this moment, Jialo Kailing was unwilling to fall behind. She did not back down. She shouted coldly and golden light burst out from her eyes. The monstrous energy in her body swept out like a golden sun. The energy swept out like a storm. "It's 5 o'clock in the morning again. I'm too sleepy. Xiaoyu, go to sleep." Chapter 1301. TSK. As expected, you are only at the initial domain level. Today, I want to see what is so special about the Golden-Winged Rock Clan. Long Bao laughed wildly. He realized that Jialo Kailing was only at the initial domain level, just as he had wished. His figure moved, and his dragon's might surged. A dark golden light spread out from the sea of clouds in the sky and rushed toward Jialo Kailing. "All disciples of the Golden-Winged Rock Clan, listen up. Kill the dragons with all your might. Kill them all." Jialo Kailing shouted coldly. Her tall figure flashed, and a golden light soared into the sky from her tall figure. Instead of retreating, she moved forward and collided with Long Bao. Boom! The collision between the two martial domain realm experts happened in the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint. In an instant, a resplendent rune accompanied by a frightening energy spread out in a ring shape. Walala! Vigorous energy surged like waves, sweeping across the sea of clouds in the sky. Kill the dragons? The golden-winged rock clan is really arrogant. Therefore, disciples of the dragons, kill the golden-winged rock clan. Leave no one alive. Long Feng shouted coldly. The energy around his figure seemed to form a tornado. He moved like a hurricane and appeared in front of Jialo Kaling. The bright energy storm carried a dragon's roar. A fist rushed out from the hurricane like a meteorite and smashed toward Jialo Kaling mercilessly. Rock strikes the nine heavens. In the face of Long Feng's attack, Jialo Kaling's delicate face turned cold. She waved her hand and a golden light burst out from her delicate body. Wherever her delicate hand passed, layers of golden talisman inscriptions gathered and formed a fan. It directly dispersed Long Feng's punch. Kill! In the blink of an eye, Long Bao sneered and appeared behind the beautiful figure. Dark golden runes soared into the sky. He punched violently, bringing out a huge dark golden rune dragon phantom that rushed directly towards Jialo Kaling. Break! Jialo Kaling seemed to have opened an eye behind her back. She raised her arm and waved her hand. Bright runes rushed out. Chila, the rock's claw of chaos, swept out from Jialo Kaling's slender hand, twisting the void, crushing the sea of clouds, and crushing the dark golden dragon shadow. However, the claw print was then smashed by the giant tail of the dragon shadow. So what if there are two initial domains? What can they do to me? Jialo Kaling was fighting against two dragons at the martial domain realm at the same time. Her shout was like thunder. She stepped on the void and golden lights surged. She was extremely domineering. Boom! At the same time, Dragon 8, and the rest of the dragon clan rushed toward the remaining dozen or so golden-winged rocks with a terrifying wave of energy. Leave no one alive. Kill. One figure after another pounced towards the dozen or so young men and women from the golden-winged great rocks, and a vast aura swept out violently. Almost at the same time, there were giant dragon shadows and flood dragon shadows. They swept across the sky and charged towards the dozen or so young men and women from the golden-winged great rocks. Dragon 9, Dragon 8, and the rest locked their eyes on Du Xiaofu and Little Xingxing. Ghost Chariot, the Divine Ape King, and the rest did not stop. They appeared directly in front of Du Xiaofu and the rest. Kill without mercy. The dozen or so young men and women from the golden-winged great rocks did not retreat. Their eyes shone with golden light, and the golden light on their bodies was like the sun. Their auras were domineering and fierce. They charged forward and attacked. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, the dragons and the golden-winged great rocks clashed. Rumble, the vast and vigorous energy collided, and the sea of clouds was shattered. The runes in the sky shone brightly, and the energy made the living creatures shudder. If we can't get away, let's fight. Little Ying, the Violent Bear King, the Spiritual Tiger King, the Fire Dragon King, the Silver Blood Leopard King, the Divine Ape King, and the rest looked up at Dragon 8, and the rest who had arrived in front of them in an instant. Their auras surged, and their ferocious auras erupted. They were ready to fight. What a disaster! The Guqin Devil, Shangguan Qixian, frowned. His body glowed, and his hair began to flutter behind him. At that moment, there was a faint and strange demonic aura emanating from his tall and straight body. It was a long story, but everything happened as fast as lightning. The Spiritual Tiger King, the Violent Bear King, the Divine Ape King, and the rest wanted to fight. They could not just wait for death. Moreover, there was still a chance. Get out of my way. Suddenly, at that moment, Du Xiaofu's figure stepped out. A white divine light surged around him, and his face was slightly pale. Boom! The moment Du Xiaofu's figure stepped out, the surrounding space trembled quietly. His hands stretched out, and in an instant, 35 formation flags were suspended in the space between his hands. It faintly distorted the space in front of him like a fried dough twist, but the light was dazzling. 8 gates Qingkuan formation, Du Xiaofu yelled. The 35 formation flags in his palm whistled through the air and instantly swept into the sky. There was a faint sense of mystery between them. At that moment, powerful and vigorous energy suddenly surged out from Du Xiaofu's body. Just as Dragon 8, and the rest of the dragons were about to pounce on him, a talisman formation that was thousands of feet wide appeared in front of everyone's eyes in the vast sky above the sea of clouds in front of Du Xiaofu. Boom! The entire sky above the sea of clouds trembled. The terrifying pressure that emanated from the formation caused the expressions of Ghost Chariot, the Guqin Devil, the Divine Ape King, and the rest of the experts. Rumble. At this moment, the entire sky above the sea of clouds began to rumble and tremble. Endless rune energy light twisted and condensed around the formation. It sealed the void and was filled with an ancient aura. The 8 Gates Chinquan formation was an 8-star Nirvana talisman formation that Du Xiaofu found on the 9th floor of the Hahuan School's Chinquan building. The so-called 8 Gates referred to the 8 different spatial positions determined by the Qimen Duanjia and the 8 trigrams. They were, in order, the Gate of Opening, the Gate of Healing, the Gate of Life, the Gate of Pain, the Gate of Limit, the Gate of View, the Gate of Surprise, and the Gate of Death. The 8 Gates Chinquan formation was formed by the intertwining of the 8 gates and the 9 palaces. It contained various supernatural powers and mysteries and was condensed by the universe. Even an 8-star Nirvana talisman master with better talent would find it difficult to comprehend and perform the 8-star Nirvana talisman formation. The 8 Gates Chinquan formation was even more vast and complicated. Once someone was trapped in the 8 Gates Chinquan formation, only the Gate of Life could escape. Once someone entered the Gate of Death, no matter how strong they were, they would die without a doubt. The 8 Gates Chinquan formation, coupled with the 9 palaces heaven and earth and the power of the universe, was filled with killing intent and danger. If a true martial domain realm expert entered, they would have to pay an absolute price to come out. Du Xiaofu had never been careless or relaxed when it came to Talisman Dao. He had already comprehended the 8 Gates Chinquan formation. At this moment, Du Xiaofu did not hesitate to perform it. Actually, although Du Xiaofu's injuries were no longer serious, his martial strength had not fully recovered. It was more appropriate to use the power of Talisman Dao. Rumble. The sea of clouds in the sky trembled, immediately trapping Dragon 8, Dragon AO, and the other dragons. Dragon 8, Dragon AO, and the others did not expect that Du Xiaofu would directly throw out a talisman formation. Moreover, it was an 8-star Nirvana talisman formation. Dragon 8, Dragon AO, and the others were shocked. It was too late for them to dodge, and they were immediately trapped. It's an 8-star Nirvana talisman formation. Gui Che, the Divine Ape King, the Phantom Tiger King, and the others could not help but tremble. They knew how difficult it was to set up an 8-star Nirvana talisman formation in an instant, not to mention other difficulties. Just setting up an 8-star Nirvana talisman formation was extremely demanding on one's primordial spirit. The Demon King was actually such a terrifying talisman master. The Divine Ape King and the others gasped when they saw the talisman formation that instantly covered the sky and covered the sky. Clearly, the Phantom Tiger King, Gui Che, and the others did not expect that the Demon King was such a terrifying talisman master in addition to his terrifying martial strength. Just this talisman formation alone was enough to trample them to death in the heavenly beast tomb. Du Xiaofu's figure stepped out with a ghastly pale countenance. To the current Du Xiaofu, the exhaustion of setting up the 8-star rebirth talisman formation was absolutely greater than utilizing the trump cards in his martial Dao. Everyone, follow me. Let's go. Without any delay, the white divine radiance on Du Xiaofu's body disappeared as the golden radiance soared into the sky like a golden storm. A 5-fingered mountain phantom immediately appeared. Du Xiaofu activated the mountain vein spirit, and it became a few dozen feet long. It enveloped Little Star, Gui Che, Guqin Demon, the Divine Ape King, the Phantom Tiger King, Little Falcon, Little Ing Ing, and dozens of others. They immediately dove down and disappeared into the sea of clouds. If they did not escape now, when would they? Oh no, don't let that brat escape. Long Feng, you deal with this woman. I'll chase after him. Long Bao, who was fighting with Jialo Kaling, shouted. He spied on everything around him in his mind. He did not expect Du Xiaofu to have such means and be able to set up such a powerful talisman formation. Looking at Du Xiaofu and the others escaping, Long Bao immediately gave up on Jialo Kaling and chased after Du Xiaofu and the others. He would never allow that human and the little dragon to escape. Jialo Kaling did not stop Long Bao. That human brat actually took advantage of the chaos to escape. The dozens of descendants of the golden-winged Great Rock clan were still fighting bitterly. Naturally, she would not stop Long Bao for Du Xiaofu. Moreover, once Long Bao left, the pressure on her would be greatly reduced. Long Feng, do you think you can do anything to me by yourself? Seeing that only Long Feng was left to stop her, Jialo Kaling shouted. The sea of clouds in the sky trembled as golden radiance surged. Her every move was like a great rock flapping its wings, sweeping in all directions. Golden energy surged and illuminated the void. Long Feng's hair fluttered in the wind. As an expert of the initial domain of the beast domain, his eyes were like stars. His dragon's might fluctuated, and his body seemed to have merged with the surrounding space. He also counterattacked. The void buzzed as they collided, and the surrounding space shook. Jialo Kaling was tall and slender. She had a graceful figure and a charming face. Her skin was suffused with a golden glow. Her beautiful eyes were moving and soul-stirring. Her hair rippled with brilliance. She was incomparably domineering. Her attacks were wide open and swept away everything. Chapter 1302. Not far away, a talisman formation enveloped the void, its power sweeping across the sky. Rumble, Long Ao, Long 8, and many other Dragon Clan warriors were trapped. Thunderous noises reverberated in the sky. There were also more than a dozen young men and women from the Golden Rock clan. They were also surrounded and attacked by more than 20 dragons. Roar! The powerful dragons transformed into their gigantic dragon and flood dragon forms. They surrounded and attacked the young men and women from the Golden Rock clan. Their auras were so powerful that it made people tremble. The young men and women from the Golden Rock clan also gradually activated their true forms. They were real Golden Rock clans, shining with golden light and sharp feathers. They were powerful and terrifying. Kill! The dragons and the Golden Rock clan fought. The dragons soared into the sky, and the rock descended to the 9 heavens, crushing the sea of clouds high in the sky. Rumble! In this chaotic battle, the dragon soared and the rock attacked, piercing through the void. The sound of the collision of energy was like thunder, shaking the void and exploding with dazzling runes. In this chaotic battle, runes flashed and fierce auras soared into the sky. The battle was endless. Chila, Du Xiaofu activated the Mountain Pulse Soul, enveloping Little Star, Ghost Chariot, Guqin Demon, and the others, and disappeared into the ground below. Where do you think you're going? Long Bao let out a loud cry. His body turned into a dark golden ray of light that tailed behind like a thunderbolt. He also plunged into the ground, creating a huge gully that spread across the land. Rumble. At the same time, a huge crater appeared in the ground. A mountain peak collapsed from the peak to the bottom. The earth shook, and the ground rumbled as if there was an earthquake. Bastard! Damn it! After a few breaths, Long Bao's figure leaped out of the crater and hovered at a low altitude. His face was dark and ugly, and he was furious. Long Bao's eyes were fierce and intimidating. He scanned the surroundings, and his mind collapsed. He realized that Du Xiaofu and the others had actually burrowed into the ground and disappeared. This was a large group of people who had disappeared right under his nose. At this moment, he couldn't even detect a trace of their auras. Long Bao did not give up. After searching around for a while, his expression became more and more ugly. The large group of people seemed to have evaporated into thin air. Bastard! The next time you fall into my hands, I'll definitely tear you to pieces. Long Bao roared and flew into a rage, but there was nothing he could do. He couldn't find any traces at all. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Rumble, high up in the sky, the sea of clouds surged as resplendent rays of light shot into the sky from time to time. Low-energy sonic booms reverberated like thunder. Long Bao raised his head and gritted his teeth. He was so angry that he stomped his feet and blasted the mountaintop below him. His figure once again soared into the sky. Du Xiaofu and the little alien dragon had escaped, but he could not let Jialo Kaling escape as well. In the misty space, there was a faint aura of thunder and lightning. This aura was filled with destruction, causing one's origin soul to tremble. Du Xiaofu, little Xingxing, the ghost chariot, the zither demon, the divine ape king, and the others appeared in this space. Pift! Du Xiaofu's golden five-fingered mountain vein spirit dissipated. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. The more people he had to take with him, the greater the pressure he would have to bear. Carrying this group of people, in addition to the consumption of the 8-star Nirvana symbol array that he had just set up, made Du Xiaofu somewhat unable to bear it. "Father, are you okay?" Little Xingxing's young face was extremely nervous. His little hand took out a large amount of spiritual herbs from somewhere and handed them to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu grabbed the spiritual herbs from little Xingxing's hand and stuffed them into his mouth. Light gushed out from his mouth and energy rippled. He said, "I'm fine. I'll be fine after a short rest." "Where's this place?" The spiritual fantasy Tiger King looked around. The destructive aura of thunder and lightning that was everywhere in this space vaguely made him uneasy. He inexplicably trembled in his heart. "This place is safe for now. We should be able to leave in a while." Du Xiaofu glanced at the spiritual fantasy Tiger King and said. Naturally, he would not tell the spiritual fantasy Tiger King and the others that this was the divine thunder cauldron. Just as he urged the five-fingered mountain vein spirit to enter the ground, Du Xiaofu was already prepared. He called out the purple thunder profound cauldron in his body. After bringing everyone into the purple thunder profound cauldron, the cauldron shrunk to the size of a grain of sand. It retracted its aura and hid in the ground. However, Long Bao did not know any of this. Du Xiaofu did not escape far. It was a pity that he could not find any trace of the purple thunder profound cauldron. That was close. We were almost in big trouble. Hearing Du Xiaofu's exclamation, Little Yinging breathed a sigh of relief. The dragons had returned and chased after them. They did not come with good intentions. They came prepared. Phew! The Qin demon chariot secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at Du Xiaofu with surprise. He did not expect that the demon king could still bring them away in such a situation. That guy's means were endless and unfathomable. We're safe. We finally got rid of the dragons and golden-winged rocks. The violent bear king was still a little nervous. He looked at Du Xiaofu. That savage and shameless guy wanted to drag them down with him in the heavenly beast tomb. However, he did not abandon them at such a critical moment. This made the violent bear king a little puzzled. What kind of person was the demon king? It was hard to see through him. We finally got rid of those mixed blood dragons and that woman. Little Xingxing's bewitching eyes fluctuated. They seemed to be suffused with a golden radiance. He was extremely happy. However, a worried expression appeared on little Xingxing's young face. He muttered softly, "Those mixed blood dragons have 2 martial domain realm experts and so many experts. I'm afraid that the golden-winged rocks are in trouble. Jialo Kailing should also be in danger. Although that woman is difficult to deal with, she's still all right. She even told me to be careful. She's much better than those mixed blood dragons." Du Xiaofu was touched when he heard little Xingxing's words. The Dragon Storm and Dragon Gale were 2 martial domain realm experts. It would be difficult for Jialo Kailing to deal with them. Although the 8 Gates universe formation that he had set up was not weak, the 8th dragon was not weak either. It would be difficult to rely on the formation to kill them. It might not even be able to trap them for long. Once the Dragon Storm and Dragon Gale interfered, the formation would not last for long. Puffed! Suddenly, while Du Xiaofu was deep in thought, he spat out a mouthful of blood. "Father, what's wrong?" Little Xingxing came back to his senses and asked worriedly. The formation was forcefully broken. It should be Long Bao's doing. Du Xiaofu frowned. The formation was forcefully destroyed. No matter how far it was, it would still suffer from the backlash. Rumble. In the sky above the sea of clouds, the space exploded. The 8 Gates universe formation that Du Xiaofu had set up was forcefully destroyed. Terrifying runes scattered in all directions like fireworks. However, after the terrifying energy swept to a certain distance, it stopped abruptly. Long Bao's eyes were cold as he looked at the formation that he had forcefully destroyed. However, he was not happy at all. Ao, ao. As the formation shattered, the trap dragons such as the 8th dragon and the 8th dragon also broke free. Some of them had already activated their flood dragon and true dragon bodies and roared like thunder. Elder Long Bao, where is Du Xiaofu? Long Qing broke free and looked around. Only then did he realize that the person who had trapped them in the formation had disappeared. He immediately asked Long Bao in surprise. That little bastard escaped. Long Bao replied coldly. He was even more furious in his heart. He looked around and saw the huge and fierce golden-winged rocks that were fighting fiercely not far away. He shouted to Long Qing and the others, "Kill those golden-winged rocks for me. Don't leave a single one alive." As soon as he shouted, Long Bao pounced on Jialo Kaling again. He realized that Long Feng alone could not stop Jialo Kaling. He was swept away by Jialo Kaling's attacks and was forced to retreat. Kill, Long Ao, Long Ba, and the others were stunned. They didn't know how Du Xiaofu was able to escape with so many people under Elder Long Bao's watch. Then, their faces turned gloomy. They had no choice but to kill the dozen or so golden-winged rocks. Bang! The runes soared into the sky. The aura was violent, and the space was turbulent. Ding ding! Long Feng's body was pushed back. The runes around his body dimmed. His expression was ugly. He realized that he could not stop Jialo Kaling at the same cultivation level. Are you okay? Long Bao's figure appeared beside Long Feng. He stared at Jialo Kaling. Where is that brat and the little dragon? Long Feng blocked Jialo Kaling, allowing Long Bao to escape and deal with Du Xiaofu and the little dragon. When he saw Long Bao return empty-handed, his expression turned gloomy. That brat is strange. I let him escape. The next time I see him, I will tear him into pieces. Long Bao gritted his teeth. There was nothing he could do. We can't let Jialo Kaling escape again. Bring her back to the clan. This trip will not be in vain. Long Feng's face turned cold. He looked at Long Bao and seemed to have a tacit understanding. Ao, ao. 2 earth-shattering dragon roars reverberated through the sky. Long Bao and Long Feng's bodies shone brightly. In the blink of an eye, they expanded into huge dragon bodies that were more than 10,000 feet long. One dragon was dark gold, while the other emitted a bright white light. As the 2 dragon bodies hovered in mid-air, they shuttled through the sea of clouds. Waves of terrifying dragon power, accompanied by vigorous energy fluctuations, swept out from the huge dragon bodies like a storm. It shattered the surrounding space. It was vast and terrifying. Boom! Almost at the same time, Jialo Kaling's body shone with golden light. She transformed into the huge golden-winged rock with a wingspan of 10,000 feet. The golden-winged rock flapped its wings. Golden light flickered, and a mighty and domineering aura swept out. The surrounding space trembled violently. The terrifying aura swept out. Gee, damn dragons! A sharp screech resounded. In the golden light, the golden runes on Jialo Kaling's body flickered. She flapped her wings and rushed toward Long Bao and Long Feng's dragon bodies with rolling power. It's time for the second watch. Little you, continue to work hard and write. Chapter 1303. Jialo Kaling was not afraid of Long Bao and Long Feng, but she knew that the dozen or so disciples she brought with her were no match for the powerful dragons. This time, Jialo Kaling only brought a dozen or so youngsters with her to the Heavenly Beast Tomb. She wanted to train the younger generation and see the outside world. She did not expect to encounter such a crisis. If she had been prepared, the Golden-Winged Rock Clan would not have been afraid of the dragons. Jialo Kaling's huge body rushed out. She had to deal with Long Bao and Long Feng as soon as possible. Otherwise, the dozen or so disciples of her clan would be in danger. They would not be able to resist the attacks of the powerful dragons. Jialo Kaling, you can't stop us alone, Long Bao shouted. He knew that he could not do anything to Jialo Kaling, but it was different if he joined forces with Long Feng. They could suppress Jialo Kaling. Kill. Long Feng was a man of few words. His huge dragon body rushed toward Jialo Kaling with a hurricane. The dragon claws under his abdomen were like sharp swords. As he curled his claws, a terrifying energy distorted and solidified the void. He could crush the void. Roar! Long Bao raised his head and roared. The dark golden runes around him surged, forming a spatial vortex that swept toward Jialo Kaling. At this moment, Long Feng and Long Bao joined forces with tacit understanding. They even sealed the surrounding void. They attacked with full force, not giving Jialo Kaling any chance to escape. Jialo Kaling's body flapped her wings. Her fierce eyes emitted golden light like golden stars. They swept across the sky. She attacked fiercely without fear or retreat. Amidst the rumbling sound of space trembling in the sea of clouds, Jialo Kaling carried a terrifying momentum and instantly collided with the Dragonstorm and Dragonstorm. Rumble. For a moment, the fierce battle between the two dragons and the rock was the most intense and terrifying. Vast energy swept through the sky above the sea of clouds. This was a real dragon and rock leaping. The energy runes radiated in all directions. It was extremely terrifying. Boom! The space rumbled and trembled nonstop. A shocking aura erupted and shook the sky. Not far in the sky, although the battle was not as destructive as the battle between Jialo Kaling, Long Bao, and Long Feng, it was more murderous. Kill them all, shouted Dragon 8 proudly. At that moment, there were more than 10 dragons surrounding them. No matter how strong the golden-winged rocks were, they couldn't withstand the attacks and were retreating. Some of the rocks were injured and couldn't hold on for much longer. Within the space of the purple lightning profound cauldron, Du Xiaofu's deathly pale complexion began to ease a little, but his expression was secretly changing. With the talisman formation broken, the golden-winged great rocks are in for it. There are quite a number of experts from the mixed blood dragons. I'm afraid they won't be able to contend against them. Little Xingxing said softly. He knew that the dozen-plus disciples of the great golden-winged rocks were probably even more unable to resist at this moment, and they were definitely doomed. Golden-winged rock, Du Xiaofu lifted his eyes slightly. At this moment, he could imagine that the dozen or so younger generation members from the great golden-winged rock tribe would not be able to contend against the dragon tribe. In the end, they would definitely be killed by the dragon tribe. If the other beasts were killed by the dragons, and if the beasts wanted to deal with him, Du Xiaofu would be happy to see both sides suffer. However, at that moment, Du Xiaofu felt uncomfortable for no reason. Even the blood in his body was surging slightly. The golden wings of the rocks in the god's watchtower buzzed loudly. Thinking that the golden-winged great rocks would most likely be killed by the dragons, Du Xiaofu felt as if his clansmen were being killed. That feeling made Du Xiaofu feel the same as when he found out that the people of the Stone City were killed by the Stone Dragon Empire. After all, the blood in his body was no different from the blood of the golden-winged great rocks. He had the mystic bones of the golden-winged great rocks, and he cultivated the techniques of the golden-winged great rocks. Even though he knew that the golden-winged great rocks were doomed, he still remained indifferent and took the lead to leave. Thinking of this, Du Xiaofu's eyes glowed, and he couldn't help but feel uneasy. Even if the golden-winged great rocks wanted to deal with him, it was still better than seeing the dragons kill the descendants of the golden-winged great rocks. Moreover, Jialo Kaling's aura wasn't too difficult to deal with. Phew! Finally, Du Xiaofu took a deep breath. His chest rose and fell, and a golden light flashed across his eyes. Father, do you think those mixed blood dragons will really kill the golden-winged great rocks? Little Xingxing looked up and looked at Du Xiaofu with a puzzled look on his innocent face. There was a strange look in his eyes. I'll go back, Du Xiaofu said, and made a decision in his heart. Father, are you going back to help that woman? Little Xingxing asked in surprise.
Yes.
Du Xiaofu nodded. If he went back and helped, he wouldn't feel so bad in the future. It would be considered as repaying the golden-winged great rock's kindness. Father, I'll go with you, Little Xingxing said. The strange look in his eyes was no longer puzzled. Instead, it glowed brightly. Nodding, Du Xiaofu said to Little Xingxing, then you have to be careful. Don't worry, Father. It won't be that easy for those mixed blood dragons to do anything to me. Little Xingxing was full of confidence and clenched his fists tightly. Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly. He wasn't too worried about Little Xingxing. Some people said that he was a pervert, But Du Xiaofu knew that he was nothing compared to little Xingxing. Little Xingxing, that girl, was the real freak. She was a demon. It wasn't easy for him to escape, but he still wants to go back and die. What is this guy thinking? Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Illusion Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Little Ying, Ape God King, and the others' expressions changed drastically. They looked at Du Xiaofu and little Xingxing in shock and looked at each other. All the beasts knew that if they went back now, they would be walking right into a trap. The dragons didn't come with good intentions. With so many experts, even if they could resist them, they would have to pay a heavy price when the time came. What is this guy trying to do? Zither Demon Shangguan Qi Xian's handsome face opened his mouth into a circle, and he couldn't retract his chin. Zither Demon felt that Du Xiaofu wasn't a normal human at all. The outside world said that he was eccentric, but he was still better than the Demon King in front of him. I know what you're thinking. This matter bodes ill rather than well, and I definitely won't drag you along with me. I brought you with me in the heavenly beast tomb, but did you think I wanted to drag you down with me? Have you ever considered that if the dragons came back, they'd definitely make trouble for you? More importantly, I brought you with me because I left behind a great opportunity for you. Originally, I wanted to think of a way to give it to you, but now it seems I'll have to wait until this matter is over. When you go back up, you can leave on your own. You don't even need to be my followers anymore. From now on, you're free. Du Xiaofu glanced at the Illusion Tiger King, Gue Che, and the others behind him. He paused for a moment, then his golden eyes swept over them one by one. But if you're still willing to follow me today, I can guarantee that as long as you're still alive, I'll definitely give you a great opportunity. Given enough time, you'll be able to roam the beast region unhindered. What do you mean? What great opportunity? In the heavenly beast tomb, that savage bastard really didn't want to drag us down with him? It should be true. If that bastard really wanted to drag us down with him, he wouldn't have needed to take us with him just now. He could have just left on his own. When they heard Du Xiaofu's words, a commotion broke out among the beasts. Little Xingxing looked at the Ape God King, Fire Wyrm King, Silver Blood Leopard King, and the others, then sternly said, "It's the same for you. I won't make things difficult for you. If you want to leave, then leave. I won't make things difficult for you in the future. Let's go." Du Xiaofu ignored everyone else. He pulled little Xingxing and disappeared from the space. Then, there was a fluctuation of lightning aura in the surrounding space. Everyone disappeared in an instant. When Du Xiaofu and little Xingxing's figures reappeared, they appeared in a deep pit that was in a mess. As the violet light in Du Xiaofu's palm faded, Gue Che, Chinamo, Ape God King, Illusion Tiger King, Xiao Falcon, and the others appeared behind him. Roar, boom, high up in the sky. The sound of energy was like thunder. Resplendent energy runes lit up the sky. The battle was raging above the sea of clouds. Not long after, the dragon's body could be seen rolling, and the golden-winged rock flapped its wings and shook the sea of clouds. Their auras were extremely terrifying. Let's go. Slightly frowning, Du Xiaofu raised his head and narrowed his eyes. Golden light flashed under his feet as Du Xiaofu's figure immediately swept across the sky. Little Xingxing's bewitching eyes shone brightly as he followed behind. Whoosh, two figures, one big and one small, immediately rushed into the sea of clouds high up in the sky with domineering supreme auras. In the big hole in the ground, the Illusion Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Little Ying, Ape God King, and Fire Wyrm King looked at each other, not knowing what to do. That's the race of dragons and golden-winged rock. Are we really going to interfere? Violent Bear King looked at the sky and said to everyone around him. The scene of dragons and rocks leaping made his beast soul tremble. Chapter 1304. High in the sky, above the sea of clouds, energy swept across the sky. The void was boiling and the battle was intense. Strictly speaking, this was a siege. Many of the powerful dragons were surrounding and killing a dozen golden rocks. Dragon 8 and Dragon Centipede had not even made a move yet. They were just standing at the side with a cold smile. Of course, the most intense battle was still the one between Jialo Kaling, Long Feng, and Long Feng. The battle between the three beasts tore the void apart. Runes shone brightly and energy soared into the sky. Boom! In the chaotic battle, a dozen or so golden-winged rocks were forced to retreat one after another. The weaker ones were already drenched in blood. Their feathers were dyed in faint golden blood, and some of the rock's blood dripped down like a hazy drizzle. Roar! Many powerful dragons joined forces and activated their true forms to surround and kill the golden rocks. The dragons soared into the sky and entrenched themselves in the sea of clouds. Their huge tails swept and dragon claws struck. Their ferocious mouths spat out a large number of runes that gathered into a blazing energy beam. Even the dragon's roar could affect the beast souls. Any one of the golden rocks was very strong. They could resist the powerful dragons of the same level. However, at this moment, they were resisting the joint forces of many powerful dragons. They were getting weaker and weaker. Even the strongest few of the golden rocks were suffering heavy injuries. Chila, a dragon's claw that was thousands of feet long, took the opportunity to reach out. It distorted the void and landed directly on the back of a golden rocks. The dragon's claw and the golden rock's feathers collided, creating sparks. The collision of energy was terrifying. Then, the dragon's claw tore apart a piece of the golden rock's feathers. Blood rained down and the golden rocks hissed. You're already an arrow at the end of its flight. Die. A huge dragon locked onto a relatively weaker golden rocks. The dragon's roar resounded as it waved its claws. Its huge body swept across the sky towards the golden rocks. Roar! The aura of this enormous dragon body was ferocious. The dragon roar was like a tide that swept in all directions. An invisible pressure caused the golden-winged rock, which had been heavily injured many times, to feel pain all over its body. The surrounding space was faintly affected and distorted. The golden-winged Pong did not retreat. As a creature whose bloodline was no less noble than the dragon clan, its bloodline was arrogant and domineering beyond compare. It came from the depths of its beast soul, and its terrifying eyes exploded with golden light. It flapped its wings and moved to the side, avoiding the giant dragon's attack. The huge dragon's huge tail swept across and brushed past the golden-winged rock's belly. Then, it swept across a sea of clouds and stopped. Boom! Rumble! The vast energy dispersed the clouds and mist like a thunderclap that resounded through the thick sea of clouds. Chila, the golden-winged rock's intimidating eyes revealed a chilling intent. Seizing the opportunity, it stretched out its sharp claws and grabbed at the giant dragon's tail. How domineering and fearless! You're an arrow at the end of its flight. You're courting death. The huge dragon's body was as fast as lightning. It was like a spirit snake. In the blink of an eye, the huge tail stopped its decline and exploded with a resplendent rune light. It teleported across the sky and dodged the golden-winged rock's claw in a flash. However, at the same time, the huge dragon's tail appeared in front of the golden-winged rock. The resplendent runes exploded from the dragon's scales. The huge dragon's tail seemed to expand even more. Light shot into the sky and dragon's might surged. The most terrifying aura suddenly spread out. The surrounding dragons sneered. At this moment, they did not even interfere. The golden-winged rock had been completely suppressed and could no longer retaliate. Die! The huge dragon's huge tail appeared in front of the golden-winged rock. The terrifying aura caused the surrounding golden-winged rock to involuntarily turn their heads. However, they were unable to protect themselves and could not help at all. Not good. In the distance, Jalo Kaling also felt it. While she was dealing with the siege of the Dragon Storm and Dragon Wind, she was also spying on the battlefield. She felt that the golden-winged rock of her clan was in the most dangerous situation. She was furious and wanted to escape and help. You'd better take care of yourself first. The Dragon Storm and Dragon Wind roared. The dragons sealed the void and trapped Jalo Kaling's body. The battle in the distance was as fast as lightning. The huge dragon's huge tail had already landed. A terrifying aura swept out. The dragon scales stood up. The terrifying aura was shocking and could destroy the void. At this moment, the golden-winged rock's expression changed. It could feel the terror of the attack. It was as if there was nothing it could not destroy. The huge dragon's cultivation was higher than the golden-winged rocks. If the golden-winged rock was hit, it would not be able to resist in its current state. The huge tail had already landed as fast as lightning. The huge dragon's eyes revealed a cold smile. The huge dragon was sure that it could kill the golden-winged rock. It was close at hand and as fast as lightning. The golden-winged rock, which had been severely injured, could not dodge at all. It could only fight with all its strength. It activated the power of the rock. Its feathers shone, and energy circulated in its body to strengthen itself. Golden light intertwined on its huge body. Its aura was extremely overbearing. The golden-winged rock wanted to use all its strength to fight back. Boom! The huge tail finally landed. The terrifying energy runes shook the void and distorted it. The muffled sound was like the sound of war drums. It produced a thunderous sound. "Be careful," many golden-winged rocks shouted. Their eyes were frightening, but they were unable to stop the attack. Many huge dragons sneered. The golden-winged rock under the huge tail was enough to be suppressed and destroyed. Suddenly, all the spying gazes changed color. The pupils of the huge dragon that had attacked shrunk in the blink of an eye. Boom! The huge tail landed and suddenly stopped. Terrifying waves of air spread out in all directions. They spread out in a ring and only stopped after reaching a certain point. Then, the runes dimmed and the waves of air dissipated. Everyone who was paying attention was surprised to see that the golden-winged rock was unharmed under the huge tail. That is, then, everyone saw carefully that there was a tiny human figure standing in front of the golden-winged rock's huge body. That figure blocked the huge dragon's huge tail with one hand, causing the huge tail to stop. The dragons and golden-winged rock present were not weak, no matter how weak they were. Naturally, they could feel how terrifying the attack under the huge tail was. The dragons who attacked were perfected beast venerables. If it were a human, even a perfected martial venerable would not be able to withstand it. More importantly, where did this human come from? Everyone was stunned for a moment, but it really did seem to be a human. Just how strong must his physical strength be to be able to withstand that attack? It's him. Why is he back? At this moment, many golden-winged rock's eyes were filled with surprise. That human was dressed in purple robes. At this moment, he seemed to be very small, but there was a powerful fluctuation in his body. He lifted the huge dragon's tail and had the strength to uproot mountains and rivers. It was the young man who had been brought onto the ship by the great commander and had cultivated the golden-winged rock's technique. Not good. At the same time, Dragon 9, Long Xiang, and the others' expressions changed. How could he not recognize that young man's figure? If it was not Du Xiaofu, the demon king who had set up the 8-star Nirvana talisman formation to trap them not long ago, who else could it be? Die. Holding the huge tail with one hand, Du Xiaofu did not stop. He turned his palm into a claw and directly grabbed the huge dragon's huge tail under the hard and shining dragon scales. Then, under the shocked gazes of many around, Du Xiaofu was like an overlord cauldron. Golden light erupted from his claw, and he lifted the huge dragon that was thousands of feet long and ruthlessly swept it to the side. Roar! The huge dragon let out a blood-curdling scream. At this moment, its perfect beast venerable realm cultivation was completely powerless to resist. It was like a ripple of an ant. The huge dragon's head directly hit the body of the huge dragon that was attacking another golden-winged rock not far away. The collision of the two huge dragons' bodies made the surrounding people's expressions change in horror. Watching this scene made their hair stand on end. Boom! This collision caused runes to erupt. Then, where the two huge dragons collided, the dragon's body exploded and the huge dragon was smashed into two. The huge dragon that was swung out by Du Xiaofu had its ferocious head blasted open. Dragon blood sprayed out, and before it could even scream, it was dead. Du Xiaofu soared into the sky, opened his mouth, and sucked. A huge suction force spread out from his mouth and wrapped around the huge dragon's blood, gathering it into a stream of blood. Then, Du Xiaofu swallowed it with lightning speed. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was standing in the air, holding a huge dragon's body upside down in his hand. He opened his mouth wide and swallowed the dragon's blood. This scene was extremely uncoordinated, but it made the surrounding dragons and golden-winged rocks feel a chill down their spines, and their beast souls tremble as they watched. Coo. Watching Du Xiaofu swallow the dragon's blood, the golden-winged rocks and the surrounding dragons felt their throats burning as they swallowed their saliva. At this moment, that seemingly tiny humanoid figure was so domineering and peerless. It's that brat. It's Du Xiaofu. Quickly kill that brat. Quickly. High up in the sky, this scene was immediately seen by Dragon Bao. After being stunned for a moment, he confirmed that it was Du Xiaofu who had escaped. Seeing the two dragons instantly killed, he flew into a rage and roared. Chapter 1305. Zhao Kailing also noticed the change. Her eyes were filled with astonishment. She was surprised that the human would return after escaping, but she didn't have time to think about it. You want to escape? Don't even think about leaving. Sensing that Dragon Storm wanted to escape again, Zhao Kailing let out an angry cry. She flapped her wings and flapped them in the air. Golden light suddenly burst out and spread out like lightning. In the end, it turned into a terrifying golden vortex of light that appeared in the surroundings. It erupted with a huge devouring power, dragging Dragon Storm and Dragon Storm's huge bodies into it. Ao! Long Ao and Long Feng roared angrily. However, under Zhao Kailing's full effort, they couldn't escape. Brat, you can't escape this time. However, Long Ao and Long Ba roared angrily and immediately pounced on Du Xiaofu. I'm not done with you mixed blood dragons. A young child's voice spread out from the sky. A small figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu like lightning. He shook his arm and the small fist was wrapped in golden flames and blasted toward Long Ba. Du Xiaofu, who was devouring the dragon's blood, immediately reacted. He waved his hand and threw the giant dragon's corpse in his hand at Long Ao. Bang! Bang! Long Ba and the small figure collided. Long Ao's eyes were filled with rage as he collided with the giant dragon's corpse. Vast energy swept out and turned into a wave that dissipated. Thump! Thump! The small figure staggered and retreated until he was in front of Du Xiaofu. However, Dragon 9 definitely didn't have the upper hand. He was also swept back. Phew! Du Xiaofu stopped devouring the dragon's blood. His face was red, and there was some blood at the corner of his mouth. It made him look even more ferocious. The violent energy contained in the dragon's blood was surging in his body. However, it was only the blood of a perfected beast sovereign. The energy wasn't enough to make Du Xiaofu suffer. Father, which one are you fighting? After the small figure retreated to Du Xiaofu's side, he raised his head slightly and asked, All disciples of the dragons, listen up. Surround and kill Du Xiaofu and the variant dragons. Attack with all your might and kill the golden-winged Great Peng. End this quickly. Du Xiaofu raised his head to look at Dragon 8 and Dragon Xing, who had just been stopped. Dragon 8's face was cold as he shouted at the dragons around him. Let's go all out and end this quickly. Oh. The surrounding experts of the Dragon Clan also recovered from their shock at this moment. Immediately, they moved together and roared thunderously. They were about to attack the surrounding golden-winged rocks with all their strength, wanting to end the battle quickly. Oh. There were also many giant dragons who surrounded Du Xiaofu and little Xingxing from afar. They wanted to attack, but they seemed to be a little afraid. Du Xiaofu, remember this? I'll accompany you one more time. If you don't give me any benefits at that time, I won't let you off. Just as the surrounding dragon roars were shocking and the aura was surging, a voice rose from the sky. When the last word fell, a young man appeared above the sea of clouds. The young man's skin was as clear as jade. His clothes were whiter than snow. His nose was like a hanging gallbladder. His figure was straight, and the corners of his red lips were slightly raised. He stood there, looking indescribably otherworldly, like a celestial being, but with a little demonic aura. It was the Zither Devil, Shangguan Qixian. Behind the Zither Devil, Shangguan Qixian, a scarlet youth appeared. His scarlet hair was like fire and blood. His temperament was outstanding. On his handsome face, His scarlet eyes were sharp and deep. He gave off an endless sense of oppression. The formless aura was vigorous and powerful, and it carried a ruthless and bloody sharpness. This young man couldn't be anyone else other than Gue Che. Palace Master, we're back. Palace Master, if you don't leave, we won't leave either. Lord Dragon Emperor, we're still here. Whoosh whoosh. Loud shouts rose into the sky, and then dozens of figures appeared in the sky with powerful auras. They were the Spiritual Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Little Ying, Little Falcon, Divine Ape King, Fire Dragon King, Silver Blood Leopard King, and the others. Those demonic beasts are all back? This sudden turn of events caused the golden-winged rock's intimidating eyes to reveal a look of astonishment. The demonic beast kings had actually all returned together. Looking at the Zither Devil, Gue Che, Spiritual Tiger King, Divine Ape King, and the others who hadn't left, Du Xiaofu's eyes rippled with golden light. The corners of his mouth curled into a smile, and a faint voice mixed with profound energy spread from the sky. Attack, kill the dragons. Yes. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, the Spiritual Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Little Ying, and Little Falcon's aura burst out. The runes on their bodies shone brightly and expanded. They immediately activated their huge bodies, and a terrifying aura spread out in the sky above the sea of clouds. We're here to help the golden-winged rocks. Attack! Violent Bear King roared. In an instant, he charged forward with the Spiritual Tiger King, Little Ying, and the others. Among the dozens of monster kings, there were some who were strong and some who were weak. However, they immediately charged towards the giant dragons. The dozen or so golden-winged rocks who were fighting a bloody battle and were about to give their all in the end immediately felt their hearts being stimulated when they saw the sudden arrival of reinforcements. Everyone, the golden-winged rocks thank you. The strongest golden-winged rocks, who had reached the level of Nirvana Beast Sovereign, roared in reply. The golden-winged rocks were so domineering that they didn't even take the dragons seriously. However, in their despair, they were overwhelmed with gratitude when the Violent Bear King, Spiritual Tiger King, Gue Che, and the others came back to help. Attack! The golden-winged rocks began to counterattack, seeing hope in their despair. Dong dong! The sound of a guqin suddenly rang out in the sky. When the sound entered their ears, they didn't feel anything at first. However, the sound of the guqin made their souls tremble. It was like the sound of a demon. The Guqin demon, Shangguan Qixian, sat cross-legged in the sea of clouds. An ancient Guqin covered in runes was placed on his knees. The Guqin demon, Shangguan Qixian, closed his eyes. His 10 fingers danced as he plucked the strings. Demonic music surged out. Whoosh whoosh! The sound waves of the Guqin were like knives that spread out in all directions. One of the dragons circling in the area had its scales crack inch by inch, and blood flowed out. Bastard! Dragon 8 was furious. His blue robe flapped, and his blue hair flew behind him. He was furious when he saw the Spiritual Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Little Ying, and the others suddenly appear. He didn't think that these guys would dare to attack the dragons. But then, Dragon 8 fixed his gaze on Du Xiaofu. His eyes were filled with killing intent and anger. Du Xiaofu looked around. When he landed in the middle of the fierce battle between Jialo Kaling, the Dragon Storm, and the Dragon Storm, his eyes twitched. He looked directly at Dragon 8, and a cold aura surged. He said to Little Xingxing, "Can you stall that peak Nirvana Beast Sovereign for a moment? Just a moment is enough. Not to mention a moment, even a quarter of an hour won't be a problem. He's not even in the Beast region yet." Little Xingxing nodded and looked at Long Xiang. He couldn't defeat the peak Nirvana Beast Sovereign, but stalling him for a moment was no problem. "Okay, then I'll leave it to you." Du Xiaofu nodded. He raised his head and looked at Dragon 8 from a distance. He looked like he was smiling, but he wasn't. He smiled coldly. Sensing Du Xiaofu's strange smile, Dragon 8's heart suddenly trembled. He knew Du Xiaofu's strength, so he said to Long Xiang, "You deal with that, Du Xiaofu. I'll deal with that little dragon. Let's finish this quickly." "Okay, I'll make that kid regret coming back," Long Xiang said in a deep voice. He immediately dashed out. His speed was even faster than lightning, and he charged at Du Xiaofu with the dragon might of runes. Roar! Little Xingxing moved. His tiny body leapt out, and with a dragon's roar, he transformed into his true form, hundreds of feet long. He hovered in the air, and his wings, which were hundreds of feet long, spread like phoenix feathers. Blazing red and purple flames covered his body. Although starlight flowed around him and he had the aura of a golden-winged roc, he also had the terrifying aura of a sovereign. This autarka's aura filled the air, and the experts of the dragon race and the golden-winged rocs, as well as the fantasy tiger king and the violent bear king, all trembled in fear. Your opponent is me, little Xingxing urged on his true form. 5 claws rose from his abdomen, forming clouds of runes. His eyes shone with golden light as he flapped his wings, creating a blazing tornado of flames. Boom! Little Xingxing's true form immediately collided with Long Xiang. A terrifying, strange, and complicated pressure descended from his body. How can his pressure be so strong? The Supreme Being aura filled the air, and Long Xing was shocked. Even though he was a powerhouse from the dragon clan, he still felt a suppression from the depths of his bloodline and dragon soul. Roar! Feeling the terrifying aura, Long Xiang had no choice but to urge on his true form. Energy swept out like a tornado, blocking little Xingxing. Just as little Xingxing pounced, Du Xiaofu moved. A golden light swept out from his tall body, and his entire body was covered in gold. The roc wings spread out from his back, and golden light shone brightly. His figure was like a god, and wherever he passed, the void distorted. In an instant, he was in front of Long Xiang. Chapter 1306. Seeing that it was Du Xiaofu charging at him, Dragon 8's expression changed. Dragon 8 knew that he was not much stronger than Dragon 7, and Dragon 7's fate was still fresh in his mind. That demon king Du Xiaofu was indeed terrifying. Roar! In an instant, Dragon 8 transformed into his true form, covered in blue dragon scales. His huge body traversed the void, shuttling through the sea of clouds. Suddenly, dark clouds appeared above the void, and a downpour gathered. Boom! Dragon 8's true form roared, bringing with it a torrential downpour. The profound meaning he cultivated seemed to be related to water. The dark clouds in all directions rumbled, and the void rumbled as if it was about to shatter. In an instant, the runes on Dragon 8's scales shone brightly. His huge body swept through the sea of clouds, pouncing towards Du Xiaofu. Dragon 8's aura surged. Dragon 8's aura seemed to be even stronger than Dragon 7's. Du Xiaofu was not surprised, and his body did not stop moving. Du Xiaofu knew that Dragon 8 would use his true form. He waved his hand, forming a hand seal. Instantly, beast energies appeared one after another. Roar! The roar was like thunder, and the shadows of strange beasts spiraled out, roaring ferociously. There was the ancient bloodline Huado, the ancient Tang snake, the Bayan, and the Xieji. These were all rare beast energies. At this moment, Du Xiaofu instantly activated them. He had comprehended them on the 9th floor of the Haihuan School's Qingkuan Pavilion. These beast energies were powerful. If they were alive, their bloodlines would be stronger than the spiritual Tiger King, Little Ying, and Violent Bear King. They would not be weaker than the Ghost Chariot bloodline. At this moment, these beast energies were like living creatures, pouncing towards Dragon 8's huge body. Dragon 8 was surprised that a human could summon so many beast energies. He had so many tricks up his sleeve. It was unbelievable. Bang, bang, bang. Dragon 8 swept out in all directions. He was a descendant of the true dragon and a revered beast of Nirvana. He wasn't a weakling. Dragon's might rolled out as he waved his dragon claws, urging the true dragon's shadow. That was a divine ability of the true dragon clan. It completely destroyed Du Xiaofu's beast energy. Roar! Dragon 8 roared. After destroying several beasts, his dragon head rushed out of the sea of clouds and locked onto Du Xiaofu. On that ferocious dragon head, the dragon's eyes looked at Du Xiaofu. The dragon's eyes were as deep as a black hole, and the blue light was as bright as the vast ocean. The dragon's aura made the world roar. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and hovered in the air, looking directly at Draconic 8. Their gazes met. Their gazes were resplendent and dazzling. As they looked at each other, cold light splashed in all directions and killing intent filled the air. Do you really think you can do anything to me? Draconic 8 said coldly. His dragon eyes looked down at Du Xiaofu as if he was looking at an ant. As a descendant of the true dragon and the 8th dragon prince, Draconic 8 was indeed qualified to look down on all living things in this world. Stormy wave palm. Du Xiaofu didn't reply. He directly attacked and a palm print was sent towards Draconic 8. That was the Du family's stormy wave palm. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was using it. Its power was incomparable to before. With the waves of a stormy wave, the runes shone brightly and the airwaves overlapped. It directly suppressed Draconic 8. Too weak. Nothing more than this. Draconic 8 wasn't afraid. He waved his dragon claws and directly destroyed Du Xiaofu's stormy wave palm. Even the surrounding void was crushed and the space exploded. Roar. Draconic roars filled the sky. Draconic 8 opened his ferocious mouth and blue runes shone in his mouth. He spat out blue runes like lightning towards Du Xiaofu, who was not far away. Boom. Boom. The bright blue runes instantly pierced through the void and landed on Du Xiaofu's body. That terrifying eruption of energy caused a smile to appear in 8 dragons' eyes. The resplendent blue runes pierced through the void, creating a shocking scene. However, the moment a smile appeared in Long Ba's eyes, the smile froze in his eyes. Du Xiaofu's figure was shattered into pieces before the blue runes, but no blood seeped out from his body. Oh no! At this moment, Draconic 8's expression changed greatly. He suddenly raised his head and saw a golden figure with golden wings appear above his head. Rock descends to the 9th heaven. Du Xiaofu appeared. Bright golden light burst out and urged the rock descends to the 9th heaven. It carried the domineering will of the golden-winged rocks. It was like a supreme being that suppressed Draconic 8. Coiling Dragon Calamity. Draconic 8 also urged the Coiling Dragon Calamity. His huge dragon body instantly coiled to resist Du Xiaofu. Draconic power fluctuated all over his body. Dazzling runes covered his body like a rain of light, twisting the void. One was the golden-winged rock's powerful supernatural power, and the other was the true dragon's supernatural power. The two collided, but there was not a loud explosion. There was only a vigorous bright light that rippled and spread out an astonishing power. Suppress. Du Xiaofu roared. Golden light gushed forth from his body as the golden wings of the great rock opened and closed. His tyrannical aura towered up into the sky as he swept his wings across the sky. His aura swept through the air, crushing everything in its path. Roar. Draconic 8 roared. Bright blue runes rushed to the sky and resisted Du Xiaofu's rock descends to the 9th heaven. A series of golden and blue runes burst out in the sky. The two collided, and the pressure swept out. Heaven and earth trembled. The sea of clouds was shattered and no longer recovered. Ka! The void cracked and collapsed, revealing faintly discernible black cracks that made people's hearts palpitate. At this moment, Draconic 8 and Du Xiaofu were using their full strength. One was a venerable origin beast, while the other was a venerable origin martial. One represented the true dragon, while the other represented the golden-winged rocks. Such a collision caused the void to tremble. Draconic 8 was gradually suppressed. The coiling dragon calamity was loosening. Draconic 8 was shocked. He realized that he could not do anything to a human. Du Xiaofu's expression turned serious. Draconic 8 was a descendant of the true dragon. He could not completely suppress him in an instant. As expected of a descendant of the true dragon, his cultivation was not something that ordinary beasts or venerable origin martial could compare with. Bastard! Draconic 8 roared in anger. He was afraid that something would happen to Draconic 8. He used his huge body to attack Little Xingxing. Stay! Little Xingxing activated the black tortoise divine shell and shouted. Golden light shot out from her eyes. A dazzling ink-black rune light spread out from the black tortoise divine shell. Suddenly, an illusory beast roared like a dragon and rushed to the sky. Roar! This illusory beast was completely black, but it was dazzling and resplendent. It was 1,000 feet large, and its entire body was covered in scales. It was completely black in color, and the turtle and snake intertwined. It was like a living creature, and it brought with it a tremendous pressure. Rumble. Majestic power spread out. Even the space was distorted. Spatial ripples spread out in all directions, causing the space to tremble. It suppressed Draconic 8. All of a sudden, a terrifying energy descended from the sea of clouds. Waves of strange energy began to converge. The terrifying energy emitted from above caused spatial cracks to appear in the surrounding void. The aura of a supreme being. The ink-black illusory beast was the black tortoise divine shell. A terrifying energy swept out. Many of the true dragons, golden-winged rocks, and spiritual tiger king who were fighting fiercely were greatly affected. Draconic 8 was blocked. His expression changed. Under that terrifying power, Draconic 8 felt his dragon soul tremble. He had no choice but to be blocked. He could only resist with all his strength. Human, you can't do anything to me. Haha. Draconic 8 roared ferociously. Although he was suppressed, he knew that Du Xiaofu couldn't do anything to him in a short time. When the time came, Draconic Storm, Draconic Wind, or Draconic 8 would come to help. The demon king Du Xiaofu in front of him would be doomed eternally. It's too early for you to be happy. Golden light surged in Du Xiaofu's eyes. The moment his voice fell, purple gold lightning surged out of his golden eyes. Everything happened in an instant. As if he had been prepared, an unprecedentedly powerful aura rushed out from Du Xiaofu's body. Instantly, lightning swept out from Du Xiaofu's body. A terrifying aura erupted and swept out in all directions. Rumble. Lightning raged as thunderclouds rose in all directions. In an instant, Du Xiaofu was like a god of lightning that had been born into the world. Monstrous thunderbolts exploded, causing the entire sea of clouds to flash and thunder to rumble. His terrifying aura gave others an unparalleled aura of execution and destruction. At the same time, an overbearing aura began to seep out from Du Xiaofu's body. Purple gold electric arcs shot out in all directions. The dazzling purple gold electric light was like a rising sun. In an instant, countless purple gold electric arcs poured down, emitting a blazing radiance. A huge purple gold golden-winged rock phantom soared out from Du Xiaofu's body and soared into the sky. The purple gold golden-winged rock phantom and lightning rolled, enveloping Du Xiaofu's figure. It was as if they had merged into one and were about to soar into the sky. Gee! Du Xiaofu roared like a golden-winged rock. The sound waves pierced through the clouds and split the clouds. The phantom's huge wings spread out, and purple gold lightning arcs sparkled all over his body. The ferocious aura spread out, causing the entire thunder space to tremble. Is he a human or a golden-winged rock bloodline? The surrounding thunder surged and the void boiled. The golden-winged rock in the distance couldn't help but exclaim in surprise at this moment. Under the terrifying purple gold thunder rock's aura, even their real golden-winged rock would tremble secretly. The rock blood in their bodies was boiling and surging. Suppress. Du Xiaofu shouted again. He activated the thunder martial vein in his body and merged it with the purple gold rock supreme beast energy that he had comprehended from the golden-winged rock to suppress Dragon 8 again. Rumble. The purple gold thunder rock spread its wings and suppressed. The tyrannical energy fluctuated, and the lightning arcs rose and fell like a golden rainbow across the sky. Dazzling runes surged in all directions. At this moment, Dragon 8 seemed to have felt something from Du Xiaofu's body. His dragon eyes were filled with disbelief. The dragon scales on his dragon body stood up, and bright runes surged. In an instant, the void boiled violently. Above Dragon 8's huge dragon body, there seemed to be a huge dragon phantom that was thousands of feet long. Roar! The huge dragon phantom overlapped with Dragon 8's body, and suddenly, there was a violent and destructive aura. It was as if the entire space was shaking, and it was shocking to the soul. There was no doubt that Dragon 8 was going all out at this moment. He had been pushed to the brink of death by Du Xiaofu. So what if you are the crown prince of dragons? I am the golden-winged rock, and you cannot withstand a single blow." Du Xiaofu laughed overbearingly. The purple-gold thunder rock phantom's eyes shot out purple-gold lightning arcs, and they were like two bright suns that illuminated the sky, overlooking the world. It controlled the supreme power, and it released an endless amount of tyrannical aura that suppressed the world and suppressed Dragon 8. Screech! The purple-gold rock screeched, and the sound seemed to pierce through the space. The sound waves were able to distort the thunder in the space. Its body was covered with purple-gold lightning arcs, and the claws under its abdomen were filled with purple-gold lightning arcs. The lightning arcs raged in the sky, and the claws tore the space apart, directly tearing apart the huge dragon phantom on Dragon 8's body. Creak! The terrifying claw came down, bringing with it a violent, destructive power. The giant dragon shadow on Dragon 8's body started to crack, and he spat out a mouthful of dragon blood. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's human figure appeared above the enormous phantom of the violet gold thunder rock. Violet gold talisman runes flickered as an unprecedentedly powerful aura spread out from the tall and straight figure of the violet gold thunder rock. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's aura was extremely strong, and it swept across the sky. It could not be provoked, and it also carried the power of execution. Boom! Du Xiaofu's fist landed on Dragon 8's ferocious dragon head. The lightning of execution burst out, destroying Dragon 8's defense. The fist hit Dragon 8's skull, and it made cracking sounds. Chapter 1307. Roar! Dragon 8 howled in agony, but that wasn't all. Everything wasn't over yet. It was Du Xiaofu's style to take advantage of his opponent's weakness. He stepped on Draconic 8's head and shot out purple-gold lightning from his eyes. It was like two purple-gold suns were shining. His overbearing and terrifying aura made the space roar. Boom! Another punch landed on Dragon 8's blue scales. Dragon 8's skull was badly mangled, and his skin was badly mangled. Roar! The lightning energy engulfed Dragon 8's body, and his entire body was ravaged by the lightning. It was a horrible sight. If this was an ordinary primordial beast supreme, one punch from Du Xiaofu would have been enough to crush it. Only a descendant of the true dragon like Dragon 8 could withstand two punches and not die. Roar! Dragon 9's huge body tried to break free, but he could not break free from the suppression of the purple-gold thunder rock behind Du Xiaofu. He roared and transformed back into his human form. Blood dripped from his mouth, and his body was in a sorry state. He was like a flash of blue lightning, and under the suppression of the purple-gold thunder rock, he managed to break free. Du Xiaofu looked straight at Dragon 8, who was trying to break free. A sinister smile appeared on his face, and then he disappeared like a ghost. Trying to escape? It's too late. Du Xiaofu's voice echoed in the void. When he appeared again, he was in front of Dragon 9, who had just escaped. Du Xiaofu had the thunder meridian wrapped around his body, but he still had that creepy smile on his face. The purple-gold electric arcs around him started to move. He opened his mouth and sucked. Thunder burst out and froze the space around him. It also froze Dragon 8, who was trying to escape. The purple-gold lightning flashed, forming an invisible cage. No matter how Dragon 8 struggled, it was useless. Bang! At the same time, Du Xiaofu's body swooped down like a bolt of lightning. His fist, which was covered by the thunder martial veins, seemed to carry a purple-gold thunderball as it landed heavily on Dragon 8's chest. Purple-gold arcs of lightning poured down in torrents, punishing in all directions. His aura was that of a lightning supreme being. PFFF. When Du Xiaofu punched Dragon 8 spat out a mouthful of dragon blood. Purple-gold lightning seeped through his body, forming a destructive, wild energy. It turned into a wave of lightning runes that swept across the area. Chila! Du Xiaofu waved his hand and clawed at Dragon 8's throat. Then, he looked around. Coiling Dragon Massacre. Tyrannosaurus destroys the world. In the distant sky, Dragonstorm and Dragonwind, who had been unable to break free from Jialo Kaling's forceful obstruction, finally used their last magical power. One of them activated the Coiling Dragon Calamity, while the other activated the Tyrant Dragon Calamity. The two divine abilities descended, and the pressure they emitted caused the void to distort and shatter. Rock descends to the 9 heavens. Jalo shouted. The golden-winged rock's domineering will swept out, resisting the 2 divine abilities of Dragonstorm and Dragon Wind by herself. Ao. Gee. The 3 divine abilities collided. At this moment, there were broken runes everywhere. Under the brilliance, there was a destructive power. These were the 2 supreme beasts using their divine abilities to kill each other. It had to be said that Dragonwind and Dragonstorm were very strong. When they activated the Coiling Dragon Calamity and the Tyrant Dragon Calamity, their power shook the heavens and the earth. The surrounding sky had already collapsed, revealing a heart-palpitating pitch-black color. At this moment, under these 3 divine abilities, even a peak Nirvana Martial Venerable would be affected and his body would collapse and turn into a bloody mist. He would be killed. Not long after the collision, the violent destructive energy disappeared. PFFF, Jalo huge golden-winged rock body was shaken back. Her feathers were dripping with blood, and she spat out pale golden blood. Her aura was weak. However, Dragonstorm and Dragonstorm didn't look too good. Their dragon scales had been torn apart by the rock's claws, and their bones could be seen. Their auras were weak. Overall, Dragonstorm and Dragonstorm were only slightly better than Jalo Creek. Not far away, Little Star's huge dragon body was shaken back. The black tortoise divine shell on his body was shining brightly. His body shrank into the black tortoise divine shell. As he was shaken back hundreds of feet, the huge force was exhausted. Only then did he come out. It must be a defensive treasure. Dragonstorm was stunned. The shell on the little strange dragon's body was indestructible. It was oppressive, and he couldn't break it at all. At this moment, whether it was Dragonstorm, or Dragonstorm, they didn't attack again. Instead, they looked in a certain direction at the same time, and their expressions changed. In the same direction that Dragonstorm and the others were looking at, only Du Xiaofu was standing. However, everyone could see that Du Xiaofu's claw was on Dragonstorm's throat. At this moment, Dragonstorm's eyes were tightly shut. His face was pale, and he was battered and exhausted. His whole body was dripping with blood, and no one knew if he was dead or alive. Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly and looked at Dragonstorm, and Dragonstorm, who were looking at him from a distance. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and he stuffed a bunch of elixirs and spiritual herbs into his mouth without any scruples. His expression was calm, as if nothing had happened. The surrounding beasts that were fighting fiercely suddenly felt that something was wrong with the strange atmosphere. They all turned around and looked at each other. Then, they were all dumbfounded. Oh no, the 8th Dragon Prince has been captured by the Demon King. The group of Dragonstorm experts were even more stunned. Their 8th Dragon Prince had fallen into the hands of the Demon King, Du Xiaofu. Jialo Kailing's intimidating eyes were also looking at Du Xiaofu and Dragonstorm, which he had captured. Her eyes were glowing with golden light. After doing all that, Du Xiaofu looked at Dragonstorm, and the others. He sneered and said, "Do it. Why aren't you doing it?" Du Xiaofu, what are you trying to do? If you dare to hurt the 8th Dragon Prince, the entire dragons will not let you go. Looking at the captured Dragonstorm panicked even with his composure. This time, his main task was to protect Dragonstorm and Dragonstorm. Dragonstorm was already severely injured. If anything happened to Dragonstorm, he would not be able to explain it to his clan. Don't threaten me with the dragons. I have already killed Dragonstorm 9. I don't care if I kill Dragonstorm 8. Du Xiaofu sneered. Suddenly, his expression changed. His voice, which was mixed with celestial qi, echoed in the sky above the sea of clouds. Everyone, stop. If the dragons dare to move again, Dragonstorm 8 will die. As his voice fell, Du Xiaofu waved his claws. Golden light surged in his hands, causing Dragonstorm 8, whose eyes were closed, to bleed profusely. When the dragons saw this, they did not dare to attack and immediately retreated. Seeing this, Fantasy Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Little Ying, Little Falcon, and the others were all delighted. They immediately retreated behind Du Xiaofu. More than a dozen huge golden-winged rocks that were dripping with blood and riddled with wounds were overjoyed when they saw this. Their huge bodies also gathered behind Du Xiaofu, unknowingly standing in the same lineup as Du Xiaofu. Father. Little Xingxing withdrew his body and rushed back to Du Xiaofu's side. He glanced at Dragonstorm 8, whose fate was unknown, and a proud smile appeared on his young face. Du Xiaofu, stop. What are you trying to do? You dared to kill the 8th Dragon Prince. No one will leave this place today. The dragon was enraged, and it roared furiously. The sound waves caused all the beasts to feel a little dizzy. Its huge dragon eyes looked down at Du Xiaofu. If that kind of anger could kill, Du Xiaofu would have been torn into pieces by now. Why don't you try? Du Xiaofu looked directly at Long Feng. His golden eyes seemed to have the shadow of a golden-winged rock about to fly out. He confronted him with a domineering aura. Du Xiaofu, let go of the 8th Dragon Prince, and we will let you go this time. Otherwise, both sides will suffer, and you will die. Long Bao glared at Du Xiaofu. His dragon eyes were overflowing with cold light. He had made ample preparations, but he did not expect that Du Xiaofu would escape from him at the beginning. Now that Du Xiaofu had returned, he had captured Dragon 8 and imprisoned him. Being controlled, the 8th Dragon Prince could not have any accidents. How could Long Bao not be angry? We can't hand the 8th Dragon Prince over to them. Dragons go back on their words. We can't trust them. Jialo Kailing withdrew her huge body and retreated to Du Xiaofu's side. Her aura was weak and chaotic. It could be seen that her injuries were not light. Are you okay? Du Xiaofu looked at Jialo Kailing and did not reply directly. Instead, he asked with concern. He handed over a lot of elixirs and said, Do you want to take some elixirs to recover? In fact, Du Xiaofu was not purely concerned about Jialo Kailing. This woman wanted to deal with him. If he had a choice, Du Xiaofu did not want her to recover too quickly. But now, Jialo Kailing was unable to fight against so many people. She was obviously suppressed by Long Bao and Long Feng. Du Xiaofu was afraid that when the time came, he would still need Jialo Kailing's help. Jialo Kailing was stunned. She looked at the elixirs in Du Xiaofu's hand and hesitated for a moment. But she did not refuse. She opened her red lips slightly and stuffed the elixirs into her mouth. She asked, You have already escaped. Why did you come back? Aren't you afraid of death? Du Xiaofu smiled bitterly to himself. His expression was dignified and righteous. He said, In my heart, I am a human, but I am also a golden-winged rock. Whoever dares to offend the golden-winged rock will not be spared. Du Xiaofu's words were half true and half false. But when the spiritual fantasy Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Zither Devil, and the others heard it, they frowned for some reason. They wanted to scoff, but did not dare to. However, when these words were heard by the dozen or so golden-winged rock, the blood in their bodies boiled. They were very excited. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu, was able to capture dragons alive as a supreme rock. At this moment, he was proudly facing Long Bao and Long Feng. How domineering was he? The dozen or so golden-winged rock were secretly in awe and excitement. Chapter 1308. Jialo Kailing also looked at Du Xiaofu, her eyes rippling. She then glared at Du Xiaofu and said, Don't talk nonsense. Watch out for Long Feng and Long Bao. Dragons don't trust each other. As soon as she finished speaking, Jialo Kailing looked at Du Xiaofu strangely. She sensed a strange energy fluctuation coming from Du Xiaofu's body. It seemed to be able to affect the energy of heaven and earth around him. I know what to do. Du Xiaofu nodded. Looking at Long Feng and Long Bao, he said, If you want me to release Dragon 8, then let's make an exchange. I'm a man of integrity. This savage fella is trying to threaten the dragon race. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Fantasy Tiger King, Violent Bear King, and Littling Ing were all dumbfounded. It turned out that the ferocious Devil King had captured Dragon 8, but instead of using him to protect himself, he had dared to threaten the dragon race. Exchange? Long Feng was stunned. Looking down at Du Xiaofu, he said darkly, Brat, what do you want in exchange? Whatever treasure you think is worth exchanging for Dragon 8's life is fine. That depends on how much Dragon 8 means to you. Du Xiaofu looked at Long Feng and Long Bao and said, "But I'll make it clear first. If I don't think the treasure you take out is worth Dragon 8's life, then don't blame me for killing Dragon 8. Brat, you dare to threaten us?" Long Bao shouted. No one had ever dared to threaten the dragons, let alone a puny human. Before Long Bao could finish speaking, Long Feng signaled to stop Long Bao with his eyes. Looking at Du Xiaofu, his huge dragon body transformed into human form. His white clothes fluttered, and his aura seemed to be in a sorry state. He reached out and threw an item to Du Xiaofu, saying, "Brat, if you dare to go back on your words, I, the dragons, will not let you go." Du Xiaofu reached out, and a suction force surged out, catching the item Long Feng threw into his hand. A wave of energy suddenly, a glow spread out from his palm. Opening his hand, Du Xiaofu only then did he see that it was a short sword. Its aura, ancient, god, its body, its rune, a high-level magic weapon. Feeling the short sword in his hand, Du Xiaofu's eyes immediately flashed with joy. This short sword was definitely a high-level magic weapon, which was also important to the beast race. However, to the dragons, the phoenixes, and the golden-winged rocks, other than those heaven-defying weapons, ordinary magic weapons were a burden to them. As supreme being demonic beasts, their bodies were invincible. If they relied on weapons, ordinary weapons would affect their bodies instead. "Brat, it's time to let him go." Long Feng looked at Du Xiaofu, his eyes flickering with yin and yang. Du Xiaofu unceremoniously put away the short sword, but there was no joy on his face. Instead, it became gloomier. He said coldly, "Long Feng, do you think I've never seen a treasure before? Or do you think Dragon 8 is worthless in your eyes? It's just a high-level magic weapon, and you want to exchange it for Dragon 8's life? Maybe you just want to kill Dragon 8 with a borrowed knife." "Brat, you." Long Feng was stunned. Long Feng was stunned. Borrowing someone else's knife to kill the 8th dragon. If something really happened to the 8th dragon, they wouldn't be able to explain themselves when they go back to the dragon race. The dragon race was huge, and the princes weren't on good terms with each other. If this news were to spread to the dragon race, even if they were innocent, it would still cause a storm. "Brat, what do you want?" Long Feng roared, and his huge dragon body turned into human form. His face was gloomy, but there was nothing he could do. "I said, let's see how much Dragon 8 is worth in your eyes." Du Xiaofu was unusually calm at this moment. "Bastard!" Long Feng was furious, and his face was gloomy. He waved his hand, and a storage ring was thrown to Du Xiaofu. He said, "This is a treasure that we obtained not long ago. It's priceless, but if you can't comprehend it, then it's your problem. If you still don't think it's enough, then come back with me to the dragons. We don't have any other treasures on us." In fact, Long Feng's words were fake. He accidentally obtained the item in the Chinquin bag not long ago. He felt that it was extraordinary, but he couldn't comprehend anything. It would be a pity to throw it away, but he didn't find anything useful in it, so he kept it with him. At this moment, Long Feng had made up his mind. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu, was a greedy and insignificant human. He might be a bottomless pit, so he couldn't be controlled by others forever. Du Xiaofu received the Chinquin bag from Long Bao. His mind moved slightly. He discovered that there were no restrictions on the Chinquin bag. He immediately looked into the Chinquin bag. When Du Xiaofu saw the items within the Chinquin bag, his calm and indifferent face could not help but tremble violently. Immediately, his resolute and determined face twitched as golden light gushed out from his eyes. "Kid, you should let him go." Long Feng looked at Du Xiaofu, and his expression changed. He knew what Long Bao had given to Du Xiaofu. In any case, Du Xiaofu couldn't comprehend anything from that item. It was possible that they had misjudged it, and that item wasn't a treasure at all. However, it was a good idea to use it to trick Du Xiaofu. "Okay, let him go. I've always been a trustworthy person." Du Xiaofu smiled and threw Dragon 8 to Long Feng. He's really going to let him go. This is going to be troublesome. When they saw that Du Xiaofu had really let Dragon 8 go, the Phantom Tiger King, Littling Ying, Violent Bear King, and Divine Ape King's expressions changed. Without Dragon 8 as a hostage, if the dragons went back on their words, the consequences would be severe. At this moment, more than a dozen golden-winged rocks from the golden-winged rock clan had also transformed into their human forms. When they saw that Du Xiaofu had really let Dragon 8 go, their expressions changed. Even Jialo Kai Ling's eyes twitched. At this moment, she couldn't wait to kick Du Xiaofu. This bastard had really let Dragon 8 go. If the dragons went back on their words, the consequences would be severe. Chi. Long Feng grabbed Dragon 8 in his hand, and after checking it, he handed Dragon 8 over to Long Ao, who was behind him, and nodded slightly to Long Feng. Dragon 8 was seriously injured, and it would be impossible for him to recover in a short period of time. However, he was still alive. Puny human, you've caused enough trouble. Today, you must die for toying with us dragons. Long Feng no longer had any scruples. His aura soared to the sky as he shouted to the dragons beside him, "Kill him. Don't let a single one of them go. You must pay the price for toying with us dragons." Not good. The dragons really went back on their words. Palace Master shouldn't have returned Dragon 8 to them. The Phantom Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Little Falcon, Little Ying, and Divine Ape King were immediately depressed. They were afraid that the dragons would go back on their words, but they didn't expect that they had guessed correctly. Stupid boy. Jialo Kai Ling, who was beside Du Xiaofu, couldn't help but glare at Du Xiaofu fiercely. Even Little Star looked helplessly at his godfather at this moment. However, Du Xiaofu remained unmoved. He looked at Long Feng and Long Bao with a faint smile and said, "Are you sure you want to take action? Don't blame me for not warning you. Once you take action, you'll regret it." Looking at Du Xiaofu's confident expression, Long Bao, Long Feng, and the others were secretly stunned. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu, was too strange, and it made them somewhat afraid. "Boy, do you think we're scared? Today, you're dead." Long Bao's face sank, and his eyes twitched as he stared at Du Xiaofu gloomily. "Is that so?" Du Xiaofu had a faint smile on his face. Just as he finished speaking the second word, a hand seal suddenly appeared in his hand. An object suddenly appeared on his palm, and a brilliant light shone brightly. Chapter 1309. Roar. Amidst the faint cries of thousands of beasts, a small palace object appeared on Du Xiaofu's palm. An extremely ancient aura filled the air. This sudden change in aura attracted the attention of everyone around. Even the dragons Long Bao and Long Feng, as well as Jialo Kai Ling from the golden-winged Great Rock Clan, could not help but look at Du Xiaofu in shock. Swoosh! Everyone watched as a ray of light shot out from the small palace object on Du Xiaofu's palm. Boom! In an instant, the surrounding sky trembled. Then, the ray of light converged and turned into a graceful figure that appeared in the void. The small palace object on Du Xiaofu's palm also quietly converged without leaving a trace. That graceful figure appeared. What a beautiful woman. Her skin was as smooth as jade, and she was dressed in a purple robe. There were faint traces of purple flames on her robe, outlining her seductive figure. Her temperament was otherworldly, and she was like a fairy who didn't belong to the mortal world. When this beautiful woman appeared, little Xingxing's eyes were stunned. Then, surprise surged in his rolling eyes. His small body immediately pounced on her, extremely happy. "Mother!" Little Xingxing's small body instantly pounced on the beautiful woman in the purple dress. His chubby face was full of smiles. She immediately opened her arms and hugged little Xingxing tightly in her embrace. She angrily said, "You wretched girl, you have worried me to death. I have instructed you to pay attention to your father. He is not strong enough and has many troubles. This time around, he has implicated you. Mother wants to see if you are all right. If anything happens, I will definitely not let him off." Hugging little Xingxing tightly, the beautiful woman anxiously checked little Xingxing. After confirming that there were no strands of hair, she was relieved. "Why? What do you mean by not strong enough and has a lot of trouble?" Du Xiaofu listened to the beautiful woman's words. His face alternated between green and red. He felt very uncomfortable in his heart. "Mother, you're hugging me too tightly. You're going to strangle me." Little Xingxing's tender face was filled with a blissful smile. The beautiful woman in the purple dress was naturally the purple flame demonic phoenix, Little Star's godmother. Purple Dragon Emperor's mother? That dragon's mother? But at this moment, Jalo Kaling, Long Feng, Violent Dragon, Ape Deity, Phantom Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Gue Che, and Guqin Devil Shangwan Chi Xian were all stunned. Qin Demon, Ghost Chariot, Wild Bear King, Little Falcon, and the others already knew how strong the beautiful woman was. But seeing that she was Little Star's mother, and thinking about the fact that the Demon King Du Xiaofu was Little Star's father, they all looked at Du Xiaofu and the purple flame demonic phoenix with complicated expressions. It's good that you're fine. You're not allowed to be with your father anymore. The purple flame demonic phoenix let go of Little Star. Her slender hand held Little Star's little hand as she swept her gaze across the surroundings, sensing the strange atmosphere. Her eyes were like purple suns, as if she could see through everything in the world. When her gaze swept across Long Feng, Jalo Kaling, and the others, her purple eyes rippled. Mother, let's not talk about my father first. My father's strength is not as strong as you. He's injured. Little Star's eyes turned and pointed at Long Feng. He said, "It's those mixed blood dragons who bullied me and my father. Mother, can you help me take revenge?" "They bullied you." Hearing that, the purple flame demonic phoenix immediately stared at Long Feng. That woman with a moving appearance, seductive figure, noble temperament, and a slightly charming charm was enough to make any woman envious and all men lose their minds. At that moment, a clear coldness spread out, causing purple flames to seep out of the sea of clouds in the surroundings for no reason. They were faintly discernible. Her purple eyes stared at Long Feng. Her voice was like the sound of nature, and it was like the sound of a fairy. The purple flame demonic phoenix opened her red lips slightly and said, "Slap yourselves twice, then scram back to the four seas." When that heavenly voice fell, the surroundings fell into a strange silence. Everyone was stunned. Even the young men and women of the golden-winged great rocks were no exception. That beautiful woman had made 2 dragons of the beast domain slap themselves and leave. How domineering was that? She was not inferior to the golden-winged great rocks. Haha, who are you? You should know that being arrogant in front of the dragons is not a smart thing to do. Long Feng's expression was extremely cold, and his expression was slightly gloomy. However, he seemed to have sensed the invisible aura from the purple-dressed woman and was forcefully suppressing his temper. How many people in this world would dare to ask a beast domain expert of the dragons to slap themselves in the face? You don't need to know who I am. If you don't want to slap yourself, then I can only do it myself. The purple flame demonic phoenix's ethereal voice sounded out clearly. As soon as she finished speaking, her delicate hand directly slapped towards Long Feng. An invisible handprint passed through the air, creating a ripple that was difficult for ordinary people to detect. At that moment, Long Feng seemed to have suddenly sensed something, and their expressions changed drastically. Long Feng wanted to block something, but for some reason, he was caught off guard. Coupled with the fact that he was already riddled with wounds and had consumed a lot of energy, he found that it was difficult to resist. Pa! A crisp palm print appeared on Long Feng's face, revealing a blazing purple mark. Pa pa pa! Following that, a few more crisp slaps rang out in the eerily silent sky. Suddenly, the surrounding gazes were dumbfounded to discover that 2 palm prints had appeared on the left and right sides of Long Feng's and Long Bao's faces. Their faces were swollen, revealing a blazing purple mark. Pift! Long Bao and Long Feng spat out blood from their mouths. Their bodies were sent flying dozens of feet away under countless incredulous gazes before they could stabilize their bodies. Sealed Domain. The Phoenix Clan Sealed Domain. Long Bao and Long Feng's faces were filled with shock. They seemed to have sensed something and guessed the aura of the purple flame demonic phoenix. Shock surged from the depths of their eyes. Jalo Kaling looked at the purple flame demonic phoenix. At that moment, violent fluctuations appeared in her golden eyes. How did it become so strong? Looking at everything before him, Du Xiaofu's heart was in no way inferior to the Fantasy Tiger King and the others. Although Du Xiaofu knew that the purple flame demonic phoenix was at the beast domain realm, he didn't expect it to become so powerful. It must have broken through again, Du Xiaofu guessed inwardly. After leaving the heavenly beast tomb, the purple flame demonic phoenix's aura was no longer suppressed. In the end, when he sensed that the purple flame demonic phoenix's aura in the heavenly beast hall had begun to break through again, Du Xiaofu dared to exchange Long Feng for benefits. He definitely didn't trust the dragons. So strong. Guiche, Guchinimo, Ape Divine King, Fantasy Tiger King, and the others looked at each other and sucked in a breath of cold air. You can scram now. The purple flame demonic phoenix looked at Long Feng and Long Bao. Its gaze was indifferent, but the coldness in its eyes sent chills down the spines of the surrounding dragons. The dragons trembled. Long Bao and Long Feng, two elders of the beast domain realm, couldn't even withstand a single blow and could be sent flying with a single slap. If they fought, it would be tantamount to courting death. The green mountains will not change, and the clear waters will flow forever. Phoenix Clan, we dragons will remember this. Let's go. Long Bao and Long Feng looked at each other, then at the purple flame demonic phoenix, Jialo Kaling, and the others. In the end, they could only grit their teeth and leave. They knew that if they didn't leave now, they wouldn't be able to leave even if they wanted to. Whoosh whoosh, following Long Feng and Long Bao's orders, the group of dragons, who had long been restless, immediately left. No one dared to linger. The group of dragons disappeared from the divine lightning mountain range in the blink of an eye. Mother is so strong. Little Xingxing danced with joy as he watched the people of the dragon clan flee, not daring to stay any longer. The purple flame demonic phoenix looked at the dragons and Long Feng, then her purple eyes looked at little Xingxing. The corner of her mouth curled into a smile. The gaze in her eyes was ethereal and dazzling like fireworks. She held little Xingxing's little hand and said, "All right, come back with Mother. What do you think?" This, little Xingxing immediately quieted down. He looked at the purple flame demonic phoenix with a childish face and blinked his big eyes. His gaze swept across Jialo Kaling and the others. Then he replied to the purple flame demonic phoenix, "Mother, let's leave this place first." "All right, let's leave this place first." Du Xiaofu also smiled and glanced at Jialo Kaling. Now that Long Bao and Long Feng had left, it was time for him to leave. With the purple flame demonic phoenix, he would be safe. At the same time, Du Xiaofu was worried that the purple flame demonic phoenix would attack the golden-winged rock. That woman had always wanted the golden-winged rock's bones. Now that the golden-winged rock was right in front of her, things were not looking good. All right. To Du Xiaofu's surprise, the purple flame demonic phoenix nodded her head. Little Xingxing said that he wanted to leave first, so she naturally had no objections. However, at this moment, the purple flame demonic phoenix's purple eyes fell on the young men and women of the golden-winged Great Rock clan, as well as Jialo Kaling. Du Xiaofu, you can't leave. You have something that belongs to the golden-winged Great Rock clan. Even if you leave today, you will be hunted down by the entire golden-winged Great Rock clan in the future. Jialo Kaling stopped Du Xiaofu. Her pale face looked a little better at this moment. Chapter 13:10. Hearing this, the purple flame demonic phoenix stopped and looked at Jialo Kaling and Du Xiaofu. You can't stop us now. Little Xingxing pouted and held the purple flame demonic phoenix's hand as she spoke to Jialo Kaling. With her godmother here, she knew that she didn't have to be afraid of Jialo Kaling. Spiritual Fantasy Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Gue Che, Guqin Demon, and the others all looked at the purple flame demonic phoenix. At this moment, as long as the purple flame demonic phoenix said that she wanted to leave, the Golden Rock clan wouldn't be able to stop her. She's right. Even if you leave today, the golden-winged Great Rocks will already know about you. At that time, even if you run to the ends of the earth, you won't be able to escape the pursuit of the golden-winged Great Rocks, said the purple flame demonic phoenix as she looked at Du Xiaofu. What does this woman mean? Du Xiaofu's expression immediately froze. He had a bad feeling about this. The purple flame demonic phoenix must be planning something. Du Xiaofu, if you leave today, I won't be the one chasing after you. I won't be as easy to talk to as I am. Even if you go to the ends of the earth, you won't be able to escape the pursuit of my golden-winged great rocks. Jialo Kaling looked at Du Xiaofu seriously and said, "Come back with me. No matter what, I will protect your life. Moreover, even if you help us this time, the elders in the clan will consider punishing you lightly. Thank you for saving me. If you come back with us, I will definitely plead with the elders and won't make things too difficult for you. However, if you leave now, things will be different." A young and beautiful woman walked out. She looked to be in her mid-20s. She was the one Du Xiaofu had saved earlier. At this moment, she looked at Du Xiaofu with gratitude in her eyes. "You've helped us this time. No matter what happens, we'll help you plead with the elders." More than a dozen young men and women of the golden-winged great rocks looked at Du Xiaofu and the others and said, in their hearts, Du Xiaofu was already part of their clan. "You should go to the golden-winged great rocks and explain. Someone will plead for you. When the time comes, there won't be too much danger." The purple flame demonic phoenix looked at Du Xiaofu with an ambiguous smile. Then, she sent a message to Du Xiaofu. "Now is your chance. Once you reach the golden-winged rock clan, you'll definitely be able to find the secret bones of the golden-winged rock clan. Ordinary golden-winged rock clan's secret bones don't have complete engravings, so they won't be of much use to me. The secret bones of the golden-winged rock clan will definitely be the best. Don't forget, you owe me. You're sending me to my death." Du Xiaofu replied unhappily to the purple-flamed demonic phoenix. This woman was ruthless. She had actually sent him to the golden-winged great rocks for the secret bones of the golden-winged great rocks. The girl before you must have a high status in the golden-winged great rocks, or Tianzi wouldn't be so strong. With her pleading, you won't die. The purple flame demonic phoenix sent a message to Du Xiaofu without holding back. Du Xiaofu's expression remained unchanged. He continued to send a message to the purple flame demonic phoenix. "When the time comes, the golden-winged great rocks will take my secret bones. That's equivalent to taking my life. Even if I survive, I'll probably become a cripple in the future. If you leave now, the golden-winged great rocks will definitely not let you go. At that time, you won't even be a cripple. You'll be a dead man." The purple flame demonic phoenix's voice was calm and indifferent. Her voice was as pleasant as the sound of nature. "You won't have an easy time even if I die. Don't forget that you were the one who killed the golden-winged great rocks in the mountain of savage beasts. If the golden-winged great rocks find out, you probably won't have an easy time either," Du Xiaofu replied sternly. An undetectable ripple flickered through the purple flame demonic phoenix's eyes. She looked at Du Xiaofu and sent a message. "At worst, I'll just hide in my clan. The golden-winged great rocks won't be able to do anything to me. However, you're different. Even if you go to the Ancient Heaven sect, they won't be able to protect you. They might even turn the Ancient Heaven sect into a river of blood. Your desolate kingdom won't be able to escape the massacre of the golden-winged great rocks either." Du Xiaofu stared at the purple flame demonic phoenix, but he was speechless. "If you go to the golden-winged great rocks, you won't necessarily be in trouble. You cultivate the golden-winged great rocks cultivation technique. The strange changes in your body make you no different from a real golden-winged great rocks. If you can gain benefits from the golden-winged great rocks and comprehend in their secret area, it will be of great benefit to your nirvana and breakthrough to the martial domain realm. The opportunity is right in front of you. Whether it's a blessing or a curse, you don't know yet. You have to make your own choice. If you want to leave now, I won't stop you either." The purple flame demonic phoenix's beautiful voice once again fell into Du Xiaofu's ears. As the purple flame demonic phoenix's voice fell, Jialo Kailing looked at Du Xiaofu. Her pale golden eyes were serious, but there were some complicated ripples hidden in them. She said, "Du Xiaofu, you can make your own choice. If you want to leave, I can't stop you today. However, you'll have to face it sooner or later. If you go back with me, I'll try my best to plead for you. Whether you believe it or not, this is for your own good." "Father." Little Xingxing looked around and then stared at Du Xiaofu in a daze. Du Xiaofu looked at Jialo Kailing and the purple flame demonic phoenix in front of him. His gaze wasn't very good. He was carefully thinking about the words of the purple flame demonic phoenix and Jialo Kailing. Whether it's a blessing or a curse, it's fated. Anyway, It can't run away. After a while, Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth and looked at Jialo Kailing. He said, "All right, I'll go back with you." Du Xiaofu looked at Gue Che, Guqin Demon, Spiritual Tiger King, Violent Bear King, and the others. He said, "This has nothing to do with you. I'll go alone. If I can come back alive, I'll fulfill my promise to you." Palace Master, Spiritual Tiger King, Little Falcon, Violent Bear King, and the others were moved. At this moment, they could feel that the cruel Demon King didn't want to implicate them. There's no need to say more. Du Xiaofu waved his hand at Spiritual Tiger King and the others. He then said to the Purple Flame Demonic Phoenix, "You also bring little Xingxing back." "No, I want to be with Father." Little Xingxing pulled Du Xiaofu's hand and said, "If they dare to touch us, I'm not someone to be trifled with. Palace Master, I'll go with you. I'm not strong enough, but I'm willing to be with you." Little Falcon looked up with a determined gaze. "Me too." Spiritual Tiger King, Violent Bear King, Little Ying, and even Gue Che said that they wanted to go together. "It's not good for me to not go alone." Guqin Demon Shangwan Qi Xian smiled bitterly and said, "The Golden-Winged Rock Clan isn't a place where ordinary people can enter. This is also an opportunity." Jialo Kailing looked at everyone and said, "It's fine if you all go together. This time, with your help, you won't make things difficult for others in the clan." After a while, Jialo Kailing took out another flying artifact. It was slightly inferior to the big ship and looked like a flying demonic beast. Whoosh! Everyone leaped onto the flying artifact and once again flew through the sky above the sea of clouds. Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged with mixed feelings. He didn't know whether it was a blessing or a curse to enter the Golden-Winged Rock Clan. He had the Golden-Winged Rock Clan's mystic bone and the golden rock wings. According to the Golden-Winged Rock Clan's character, Du Xiaofu knew that the Golden-Winged Rock Clan would not give up so easily. He needed to explain things clearly. Du Xiaofu had also thought about the Purple Flame Demonic Phoenix's words. He was cultivating the cultivation method of the Golden-Winged Great Rocks. Back then, he had already benefited a lot from the enlightenment of the Golden-Winged Great Rocks. If he could gain more enlightenment in the Golden-Winged Great Rocks, it would definitely be the most important opportunity. Chapter 1311. Du Xiaofu knew very well that although he had the mysterious bones of the Golden-Winged Rock and the wings of the Golden-Winged Rock, the beast abilities of the Golden-Winged Rock were also related to the bloodline. The blood of the Golden-Winged Rock came from the mysterious bones in his body. As for the Golden-Winged Rock bone, its strength was originally above Du Xiaofu's original level of strength. It was a terrifying existence, but with Du Xiaofu's current level of cultivation, it was somewhat insufficient. The Mystic Bone Golden-Winged Great Rock's secret runes were incomplete, and its beast energy was insufficient. If Du Xiaofu wanted to advance further in the future, he would most likely be restricted. If he could obtain benefits from the Golden-Winged Great Rocks, he would be able to break through the shackles of his mystic bones. Du Xiaofu had no choice but to grit his teeth and go to the Golden-Winged Great Rocks. "First, I'll adjust my breathing." Du Xiaofu pondered for a while. He formed a seal with his hands and used the cultivation method of the Golden-Winged Great Rocks to refine the dragon blood and elixirs that he had swallowed. No matter what, he had to recover to his peak condition first. That way, he would have an extra layer of protection. The Illusion Tiger King and the others also sat cross-legged on the Flying Dharma artifact and began to recover. The Divine Ape King, Fire Wyrm King, Silver Blood Leopard King, and the others naturally followed Little Xingxing. Since Little Star wanted to accompany Du Xiaofu, the Purple Flame Demonic Phoenix naturally wouldn't leave either. The group headed towards the Great Golden-Winged Rocks. 2 days later, in front of the Flying Magic Tool, the clouds overlapped and a special fluctuation appeared. Huff huff, one by one. The young men and women of the Golden-Winged Rocks stood up, exhaling turbid air from their mouths. Their auras fluctuated as they stood up. Their eyes were filled with joy as they looked ahead. Huff huff. The Purple Flame Demonic Phoenix, Little Star, Ape Deity King, Phantom Tiger King, Guqin Demon, Ghost Chariot, and the others all stopped their breathing and opened their eyes. Bright light shot out from their eyes like a waterfall. Du Xiaofu also stopped regulating his breathing. The golden energy halo around his body slowly receded, and a trace of redness returned to his face. Ahead is the spatial spirit formation of the golden-winged great rocks. It was set up by the experts of the golden-winged great rocks since the ancient era. Jialo Kaling got up and walked in front of the flying instrument. She formed a seal in her hand, and a golden light shot out, penetrating the space in front of the sea of clouds. Then, the space in front of her shattered like a mirror, revealing a void. The flying Dharma artifact shuttled through the air and disappeared into the void. Their line of sight dimmed for a brief moment before light shone out. A vast space appeared below everyone's line of sight. High mountains and groups of peaks were continuous, with precipitous cliffs and precipitous precipices. The Ningbai River flowed forward in torrents, winding and spiraling. The earth was deep and quiet, and in the space, there was a dense energy of heaven and earth rushing out. The domineering aura of the formless golden-winged rock made everyone tremble. The flying Dharma artifact slowly landed, and the space became spacious and beautiful. The peaks were lined up, and the mountains were scattered. Further away, there were faint mountain scars that rose and fell continuously, connecting the clouds and the sky. At this moment, the sun was setting in the west, and the setting sun sprinkled golden light on the earth. The entire ancient city of the golden-winged great rocks was draped with a cicada-like golden gauze, looking mysterious and long. Swoosh, swoosh. When the flying Dharma artifact slowly landed in a square, many figures flew over from afar. There were ancient palaces and buildings in the surrounding mountains. Chief Commander, are you back? Many young men and women flew over from afar, and they were extremely respectful to Jialo Kaling. They looked at the purple flame demonic phoenix, Little Star, Du Xiaofu, and the others, but they were puzzled and surprised.
Yes.
Jialo Kaling nodded, and her eyes were completely relieved. She said to the young men and women, "Take the guests to the guest rooms to rest. I want to see the elders immediately." "Yes, Chief Commander." The young men and women of the golden-winged great rocks were puzzled. Not everyone was qualified to be guests of the golden-winged great rocks, but they still politely led Du Xiaofu and the others away. As expected of the golden-winged great rocks, Du Xiaofu was secretly surprised as he looked at the young men and women of the golden-winged great rocks. They were all in the Beast Supreme realm, and their bloodline was so high. They were indeed worthy of being called the Supreme Beast Clan. Some other beast clans might not be able to reach the Beast Supreme realm even if they cultivated until their deaths. For the beast clans, the bloodline in their bodies limited their future achievements, just like the cultivation talent and martial veins of the human race. To a certain extent, it also limited their future achievements. Night fell. Du Xiaofu, the purple flame demonic phoenix, Little Star, the phantom tiger king, the ghost chariot, the Guqin demon, and the ape god king were arranged to stay in an ancient palace. Although the young men and women of the golden-winged great rocks were not too polite along the way, they were still polite. After sending everyone here, the young men and women hurriedly left and told Du Xiaofu and the others not to run around. Whether it's a blessing or a curse, we'll know tomorrow morning. In a small hall, only Du Xiaofu, Little Star, and the purple flame demonic phoenix were present. After setting up a seal, Du Xiaofu sighed. At this moment, Du Xiaofu guessed that Jialo Kaling was probably talking to the elders of the golden-winged great rocks about him. He would know tomorrow how the golden-winged great rocks would treat him. Now that he had arrived at the golden-winged great rocks, Du Xiaofu knew that if he wanted to force his way out, his chances of leaving were close to zero. Just entering the boundary of the golden-winged great rocks was not an ordinary boundary. Even with the help of the Five Fingers Mountain's vain spirit, he would not be able to leave as he wished. Although he had not seen any terrifying experts in the golden-winged great rocks, Du Xiaofu had already sensed several obscure auras sweeping past with his sharp senses. Every aura was unfathomably vast. Even the younger generation of the golden-winged great rocks had mostly reached the level of sovereign beast. Du Xiaofu could imagine how terrifying the older generation of the golden-winged great rocks would be with their supreme bloodline. "Father, don't worry. Although Jialo Kaling is difficult to deal with, she said that she would plead for you. Moreover, we have saved them this time, so it should be fine. Little Xingxing looked at Du Xiaofu and sighed. He comforted him and blinked his bewitching big eyes. Whether it's a blessing or a curse, we can't avoid it. We will know tomorrow. Du Xiaofu stretched his back and shrugged his shoulders. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. The heavenly beast hall is in your hands? The purple flame demonic phoenix asked. She looked at Du Xiaofu with astonishment. She had been in the heavenly beast hall all this time, so it was not difficult for her to know that the heavenly beast hall had fallen into the hands of that guy. Yes, it's just luck. Du Xiaofu nodded. He looked at the purple flame demonic phoenix and said, You must have obtained the inheritance inside, right? That's right. It has allowed me to advance another step. If I were to cultivate alone, I would not have made such progress even after hundreds of years. The purple flame demonic phoenix looked at Du Xiaofu and said, I have to thank you. I was suppressed in the heavenly beast tomb and was unable to make a breakthrough even after obtaining the inheritance. If I were to stay here for a long time, it would affect my cultivation foundation and in the worst case, I would suffer from qi deviation. Du Xiaofu smiled. He raised his eyebrows and asked, Long Bao said that you were in the sealed domain realm. What is the realm above the martial domain realm and the beast domain realm? The sealed domain realm is only one of the 6 subrealms in the martial domain realm and the beast domain realm. The 6 subrealms are initial domain, sealed domain, great domain, bounded domain, domain, and master domain. The purple flame demonic phoenix looked at Du Xiaofu. In the end, her eyes shone with a purple radiance and said, Above the martial domain realm is the legendary Saint Martial realm. That is the realm that all living things in the world want to reach. It is the pinnacle of all living things in the world. Saint Martial realm. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows inwardly. If he could reach the Saint Martial realm one day, perhaps his family would be able to reunite, and he would be able to take revenge for the 7-star hall in Tianwu Academy. However, the Saint Martial realm has always been a legend. I don't know if the Saint Martial realm still exists in this world. Perhaps only after reaching a certain level of strength will one be able to know more about this world. Continued the purple flame monstrous phoenix. I will definitely reach the Saint Martial realm in the future. Little Xingxing clenched his fists tightly. His bewitching eyes were filled with determination, and a faint golden flame flickered in them. In the cool and colorful night, the mountain peak seemed to be covered with a silver veil under the moonlight. A human brat dares to touch my clan's secret bone and great pung golden wings. Interesting. In the courtyard of the mountain peak, a tall and straight young man was looking at the sky. Golden light flickered in his eyes. Fourth Commander. The first commander seems to be protecting that human. It is said that they encountered the dragons on their way back. It is all thanks to that human's help. A yellow-clothed woman behind the tall and straight young man said. No matter what, the secret bone and great pung golden wings of the golden-winged great pung bird clan cannot be tainted by a puny human. The tall and straight young man looked rather calm and said, I will go and take a look tomorrow morning. Night fell, and the secluded valley was hazy. Grandma, I am back. The secluded valley courtyard was ordinary and quiet. Jialo Kaling appeared at the entrance of the quiet courtyard. Her voice was soft and gentle as she stood outside the door respectfully. How is the situation in the heavenly beast tomb? Did anyone obtain it? In the courtyard, an aged voice resounded slowly. We did not obtain anything from the heavenly beast tomb. The dragons and phoenixes are similar. We fought with the dragons on the way back. In the end, someone helped us and we did not suffer any losses. Jialo Kaling's voice was soft and gentle as she stood outside the courtyard and spoke respectfully. That's good. It is too chaotic outside. Stay in the clan and cultivate in peace. The old voice sounded again. It's a pity that you've already broken through to the initial domain realm. Otherwise, your hopes for the competition among the younger generation wouldn't be lower than Jueyu's. He's been suppressing his cultivation to the half-domain realm, but you couldn't endure it and broke through in the end. Jueyu's talent is rare in our clan. It is difficult for me to compare with him. Kaling will comprehend it well in the future and strive not to fall too far behind Jueyu. Jialo Kaling said with a faint smile. Your talent is not below Jueyu's by much. The old voice in the courtyard fluctuated a little, with a slightly reproachful tone. "Grandma, I have something to tell you, but it is not confirmed yet. Don't be sad," Jalo Kaling said to the old voice in the courtyard after hesitating for a while. "Is it news about Jueyu?" After a while, the old voice in the courtyard continued to speak. Chapter 13:12. It's possible that Ju Ho has already. Jalo Kai Ling looked into the courtyard and hesitated. She bit her red lips. Has he been killed? The old voice in the courtyard suddenly became agitated. I can't be sure yet. This time, I brought back a human. He has a secret bone of my clan in his body. According to what he said, the secret bone might be Ju Ho's, Jalo Kai Ling said. Kai Ling, come in and tell me the details. The old voice was trembling. Jalo Kai Ling looked up. For the past few decades, no one had been able to take half a step into the courtyard. Night enveloped the courtyard. In the room, Du Xiaofu set up a restriction and entered the desolate ancient space. The injuries on his body were quite serious. He needed time to recover to his peak condition. Du Xiaofu could only enter the desolate ancient space to buy time. In the misty space, a secret bone appeared in Du Xiaofu's hand. It was the bone that he had obtained from the purple flame demonic phoenix not long ago. This secret bone was the secret bone that the purple flame demonic phoenix had taken from the ancient viper in front of the heavenly beast hall in the heavenly beast tomb. The secret bones of the ancient hook serpent, the three-headed sea dragon snake, the black water mystical snake, and the three-headed sea dragon snake had always been with Du Xiaofu. After obtaining the heavenly spirit record left behind by his master, Duanmu Qiongtian, Du Xiaofu naturally obtained the method to activate the four serpent skeletons. At this moment, the great golden-winged rock clan was in an uncertain situation. Du Xiaofu wanted to restore and control the four serpent skeletons first. At that time, he would be able to increase his strength. After all, the four serpent skeletons were extraordinary. Although he had obtained the method to control and activate the four serpent skeletons, this was the first time Du Xiaofu had come into contact with them. He was quite nervous. In the desolate ancient space, Du Xiaofu found the method to control and activate the four serpent skeletons in the heavenly spirit record. After studying it carefully, he found that the four serpent skeletons were also a type of puppet. The method to control and activate them was quite different from ordinary puppets. However, there wasn't much of a difference. It was very complicated and profound. Of course, the four serpent skeletons were already refined. The difficulty of the desolate ancient space was 90% of the ancient Tao. The ancient snake ancient book was the refining. The hardest part was refining. Du Xiaofu found out from the heavenly spirit record that with his current cultivation as an 8-star nirvana spirit talisman master, if he wanted to refine four skeletal puppets of that level for his own use, even if he went all out, his success rate wouldn't exceed 30%. After pondering for a while, Du Xiaofu summoned the Sky Beast Hall from the desolate ancient space and stepped into it. In a spacious space inside the heavenly beast palace, the skeletons of the ancient viper, the three-headed sea dragon snake, the dark water mystic snake, and the ancient hook snake were hovering. Du Xiaofu's eyes landed on the skeletons of the ancient viper, the three-headed sea dragon snake, the black water mystical snake, and the ancient hook serpent. His eyes trembled. He could still feel the beast aura from the four skeletons. Huff, after taking a deep breath, four mysterious bones appeared in Du Xiaofu's hand. They were the mysterious bones that had been pulled out from the ancient viper, the three-headed sea dragon snake, the ancient hook serpent, and the black water mystical snake. Swoosh, swoosh, the mysterious bones emitted a resplendent light. There was a faint snake hiss that sounded like a dragon's roar. Subsequently, a white electric arc wrapped around the bones and threw them into the four serpent skeletons in Du Xiaofu's hand. Qila. As the four resplendent runes on the bones entered the four skeletons, the aura of the four skeletons immediately began to fluctuate. The four huge skeletons were gradually wrapped by resplendent runes. Their empty eyes began to flicker with a terrifying and empty light. I must succeed in one go. Otherwise, I will be in big trouble. As he watched the four huge skeletons begin to recover, killing intent gradually gushed out from the four skeletons' empty eyes. Du Xiaofu's eyes could not help but twitch. Boom! In a short period of time, the four huge skeletons seemed to have come back to life. Their intimidating rune eyes stared at Du Xiaofu as their auras shook the space. Hiss hiss! The four huge creatures swallowed their rune tongues. As their huge bodies twisted, the sound of bones colliding could be heard. Their killing intent was sharp. Their huge bodies were like lightning. In an instant, they brought along a sharp and intimidating energy wind as they pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Come! Du Xiaofu's expression immediately sunk. His expression was incomparably serious. With a jerk of his purple sleeve, his body directly floated forward like a god. In an instant, he broke through the air and appeared on top of the four serpent skeletons that were pouncing towards him. At this moment, the entire Heavenly Beast Hall was under Du Xiaofu's control, and he had already gained the upper hand. Otherwise, given Du Xiaofu's current exhaustion and injuries, he would not dare to deal with these four skeletons by himself. Although Du Xiaofu was nervous in his heart, he had the Heavenly Spirit record on him. At the same time, he also had control of the Heavenly Beast Hall. Hence, he had some confidence. In order to save time, Du Xiaofu did this. Otherwise, it would undoubtedly be much safer to control them one by one. Sizzle! As Du Xiaofu's body appeared in the air above the four serpent skeletons in a ghost-like manner, he borrowed the advantage of the Heavenly Beast Hall to easily avoid the four skeletons. Subsequently, he secretly formed a hand seal. A thought passed through his mind, and a silver-yellow yuan spirit power surged out from between his brows in all directions like a vast and mighty silver-yellow lightning arc. At this moment, the yuan spirit power between Du Xiaofu's brows seemed to have transformed into a silver-yellow lightning arc that covered the sky and the earth. It wrapped around the foreheads of the four skeletons. Du Xiaofu knew the weakness of these four skeletons from the Heavenly Spirit record. Moreover, these four skeletons only had an instinctive killing intent and had yet to be controlled by anyone. They were equivalent to ownerless objects and would not be too difficult to deal with. Even though these skeletal puppets were powered by the mysterious bones, a wisp of their original beast soul still existed in their minds. However, the self-imprint on the beast spirit had already been completely destroyed. The refiner had left behind the killing intent and refined the skeletons to be even stronger than their bodies when they were alive. This way, they could be turned into killing machines. As for the controller, all they had to do was place their soul imprint in a special way, and they would be able to control it. Du Xiaofu knew that these four skeletons had been refined by his master, Duanmu Qiongtian. Apart from the Heavenly Spirit record's method of placing a yuan spirit soul imprint, it was almost impossible to do it with any other method. Once he placed a yuan spirit soul imprint, if others wanted to deal with these four skeletons in the future, they would have to use absolute strength to forcefully destroy them. It was almost impossible to snatch them from another master. Due to the change of master, the yuan spirit soul imprint placed in the skeletons was hidden extremely deeply and was extremely special. Unless one's yuan spirit was several times stronger, it was almost impossible to destroy it. Walala! As Du Xiaofu's earth-shattering yuan spirit power surged out, it gathered in an extremely special way to form runes that surged into the foreheads of the four skeletons. In an instant, the four skeletons that were surging with killing intent quieted down. In the end, even the killing intent in their eyes began to fade. Seeing this, Du Xiaofu's face revealed some joy. However, he still did not let his guard down. Hand seals formed one after another, turning into yuan spirit imprints that landed in the foreheads of the four skeletons. 2 hours later, Du Xiaofu returned to the ancient, desolate space from the Heavenly Beast Hall. His face was pale, but there was a smile on his face. After placing a yuan spirit imprint to control the four skeletons, they were undoubtedly much more difficult to deal with than their instinctive killing intent. In the misty space of the ancient, desolate space, Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged as he pondered. He did not know whether tomorrow would be a blessing or a curse. No matter what, Du Xiaofu knew that he could not die. If his bones were really dug out and his great Peng golden wings were taken away, he could only fight with all his might. Du Xiaofu knew very well that once he died, even if he became a cripple, The revenge of his sect and the reunion of his family would truly be out of his reach. Drunkard father, are you still on the Tianhuang mainland? Mother, do you often think of us father and son? And Xiaojing, have your family completely recovered? Du Xiaofu murmured softly. His eyes were resolute, but they were also a little moist. Qi, a moment later, Du Xiaofu's hand seals formed, and his body was slowly enveloped in a pale golden energy halo. The energy of many dragon blood and elixirs in his body was waiting to be completely refined. Time passed slowly outside as this refining process continued. Dawn was like a sword, splitting the night sky and welcoming the rising sun. Walala, in the misty space, the time had already been equivalent to 5 days outside. Du Xiaofu's pale face regained its redness, and his breathing was long and even. The pale golden halo around his body was like a golden sun, and there was a faint golden pong that was about to soar into the sky, exuding a domineering pressure. Huff! The golden halo was like small golden energy snakes that mysteriously surged into his body, and a mouthful of turbid air was exhaled from his throat. Boom! As Du Xiaofu opened his slightly closed eyes, golden light surged in his eyes, and there was a faint lightning glow. The radiance of stars and purple flames rippled. Light flashed out like lightning, and his aura shook the surrounding misty space violently.